6:30 public hearing for the proposed revisions to the property maintenance ordinance to order. We will start off with a presentation from Christy, who has been spearheading the changes to the current policy, and then we will hear from the public with their concerns about the current policy and the changes. Welcome, Christy and Aaron.
Good evening. So I'm just going to go over a really quick background on the property maintenance ordinance.
Do we need to do roll call, Sheila? Thank you. Thank you, Gina.
Counselor Sakala.
Here.
Counselor Crisati.
Here.
Counselor Hendrickson.
Here.
Counselor Ludwig. Counselor Mangini.
Here.
Counselor Nasuda.
Here.
Mayor Nelson.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Pisner.
Here.
Counselor Russo.
Here.
Counselor Santinella.
Here.
Counselor Ungary.
Here.
And Counselor Ludwig. Here. 11 members are present, none are absent.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Christy.
No worries.
Go ahead.
Alrighty, so again, I'll just give a really quick background on the property maintenance ordinance and changes that have happened in the past. So I went back over the last 15 years, and there have been 5 adopted property maintenance ordinance revisions. The first one was in June of 2009, and this was where there was a pretty big change. They expanded numerous definitions of different blight violations. There were some added violations, and also the additional general state statutes were added as well, and then just general cleanup. A few years later, in 2012, more changes were made. The violations were less wordy, so they were condensed, and there was general cleanup. Also, there was the definitions pertaining to blight terminology that was added as well. So those were the 2 big changes over the past 15 years. In 2014 and 18, there were smaller changes, just about adding, instead of 30 days for grass notice of action, it's going to be 10 days. And then also just adding unsightly motor vehicles. So smaller changes in those 2 years. And then in December of 2018, when they were making that change, the town council also addressed the need for a blight review committee. So a few months after that, in February of 2019, that's when town council established the blight review committee. And throughout 2019, there were numerous resolutions that went through town council to make various modifications to the blight review committee, establishing their procedures and allowing the committee to reduce fines up to $10,000. Excuse me. And so since then, the blight review committee has met with numerous property owners here in town to discuss their property maintenance fines and also their experience throughout the property maintenance process. And let's see. So ultimately, the last time the ordinance was revised in its entirety was in spring of 2014. Spring of 2012, which has been over 12 years as of now. And let's see. So other than blight staff, the only other group really that understands our process is the blight review committee after listening to all of these property owners. So once we have our most recent 5 members, they decided, it's probably a good idea to read through the ordinance and see what's going on, if there's any changes that needs to be made, and so forth. So we did that. It's been maybe a year and a half at this point. Every single monthly meeting, we would go and read through the ordinance line by line. And we were able to, with the help of staff and also with the blight review committee members, we were able to make some recommendations. Ultimately, this has not been the changes that are in front of you in red. This has not been reviewed by the town attorney's office. It will be once the public hearing happens, once we receive any input that we want to include in these changes, that's when it'll go to a town attorney's office. And then ultimately, it'll go through staff and also with the town council. So it was a group effort with Blight Review Committee. It was a super fun experience over the years, and ready to move this forward and definitely receive input from the public. We receive calls every day, and I'm very excited to hear any input that they have that we can make this process as easy as possible for both staff and also residents in Enfield. So,
Thank you, Christy. Okay, so the following notice of public hearing was published in the Hartford Courant on Tuesday, September 24th, 2024. Town of Enfield legal notice. Notice is hereby given that the Town of Enfield shall hold a public hearing in the Enfield Town Hall Council Chambers, 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, on Monday, October 7th, 2024, at 6:30 p.m., to allow interested residents an opportunity to express their opinion regarding the proposed revisions to the property maintenance ordinance, Chapter 14, Article 4, Section 14-171 through 14-210. For more information, call the Economic and Community Development Office at 860-253-6390. Dated this 19th day of September 2024 by Sheila M. Bailey, Town Clerk. Okay, the ground rules for the public hearing. There is no time limit, but I ask that each person not take up too much time so that everyone will have the opportunity to speak. Each person who desires has had one chance to speak. I shall permit those individuals who desire a second chance. After those individuals who desire to speak a second time, I shall permit those individuals who desire a third time, fourth time, etc. Please refrain from personalities. So, would anybody like to come up and speak? Mr. Denny.
Short and sweet. I don't think Ed Denny, 19 Lowell Drive. I think the mic's on. Is the mic on? I can speak loud enough. I don't think anybody in Enfield is attuned to what's going on here. It looks like East Hartford. Just Route 5 alone. I'm looking at this ordinance. The first page, the second page pertains to the car wash, Triano's old father's house with the roof holes in it. They've been like that for months. 2 yellow submarines sitting in the yard with a fence around it, trees growing in the yard. I'm sure that if you live here, you drive by there. What are you doing about it? Nothing. Nobody's unaware of what's going on. East Hartford. This whole thing needs to be not rewritten, needs to be enforced. Get more people to enforce it. I know we have money that we spend on a lot of other things, but not on blight. East Hartford, it's getting to look like East Hartford, and it's getting worse. It's not getting better, it's getting worse. I took up enough of your time, thank you. Do something about it, thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Zach.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Zach Sinoni, 6 Howard Street. I have a few concerns and thoughts that I wanted to mention regarding the ordinance, and I'll list them to their individual sections. So I wanted to start with Section 14-172 under definitions. For the purposes of this article, the following items shall have the meaning set forth herein unless the context clearly indicates a different meaning. Blight means premises containing any one of the following conditions visible from a public way. So I have some concerns with visible from a public way, but I find myself to be in the middle of your concerns, Mayor Nelson and Councilor Santinella's, specifically with, I am empathetic to the idea that if you have someone that is on the second floor of their home and they're looking 4 or 5 houses down, that is incredibly subjective, and I think it's invasive to people's privacy. And so I had wondered, is there a way that we can consider a potential impact to quality of life and put some constraints on what people can say is blight and is not blight and whether it's visible from a public way. Specifically, if you are sitting in your backyard and you witness and see a derelict property behind you, I think that's a serious concern. It's a serious concern from a quality of life standpoint, and it has a material impact, a financial impact on the homeowner's ability to sell their property, on property value, which impacts the grand list. So I think that that's something that the government, if it has the ability to provide some influence on, should do. So what I had thought about is what if you were to extend, instead of visible from a public way, that it needs to be visible from at grade? What do I mean? I mean, if you're at the first floor of your house and in your backyard and you see blight, is there a way that we can narrow it, constraints like that, so that you're not on a second floor of someone's home and you're looking 5 houses down? And so I thought, I doubt my idea is necessarily innovative and it probably exists elsewhere. So I looked it up. And it does exist. The town of Darien has this ordinance in which it says public view. And they state visible from any right of way or the first or ground floor of any property. Now, I think that that is a good synthesis between the idea of enforcing backyard and issues related to blight, but at the same time potentially preventing the subjectivity of neighbors peering in and being invasive to other people's properties. It also provides the homeowner who might be engaging in that blight concern 2 options. Number 1 is they can remediate the issue. 2, they can put up a fence in which they can continue to keep their backyard as they please, but it's not impacting the quality of life of others. So that is something that I had thoughts on with there. I also had thoughts on Section 14-172, item G, vehicles not parked within a legal space or driveway. I think this is, quite frankly, too ambiguous in nature. I think of it from perspective of my family who works in agriculture and the impact that that could specifically have on farming communities. And so if we could consider potentially any scaling back the ambiguity of that ordinance to be more specific. What do you mean when you're talking about a vehicle? Where should it be? And I know East Windsor, when they had proposed their blight ordinance last year, one of the reasons it tanked at the first time was because of the farmers, and things like this were going to adversely impact their ability to do business. And I have some thoughts on Section 14-175, which is the designated enforcement officer. I am in support of the idea that the town should employ more than one property maintenance inspector. I think one of the most significant issues with blight is the subjectivity of it, because you have it based on the homeowners and their responsibility to file a complaint. And the way to remove that subjectivity, the way to remove that bias, is to have professionals actively enforce the code. So then you don't have homeowners that are just incessantly calling on their neighbors. You have people that are qualified and can actually be objective with the ordinances that we're supposed to enforce. And so I think being proactive with that would be really beneficial. And I also think, quite frankly, that whether you file a complaint or not, I filed a complaint 2 months ago for an issue on Locks Lane. It hasn't been addressed. So if we have more people that can address the issue and we're being proactive with enforcement, I think that's going to solve a lot of issues, especially the ones that Mr. Denny had just referenced. And also and that goes into 14-176, without the need of a formal citizen complaint. There's a lot of homeowner versus homeowner issues happening. That's what I think that resolves. I do like the blighted property fixed tax improvement incentive program. I'm a strong supporter of that. And those are all I have for my comments and suggestions, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. Anyone else?
We just talking about blight, or we can talk about anything?
Just about blight, sir.
Leave my property alone.
Linda, come on up.
Wow, this is strange. Linda DeGray, 3 Teresa Street. Actually, it's just some verbiage that needs to be corrected, which I'm sure our town attorney will do, on Section 14-184. Under Section B1, it says, first warning notice of foreclosure action may. I think it should be shall. That gives you a little more bite, where you have, and under that section, all the mays should be shall, just so that people understand that when they get this letter, this is, okay, you're at $5,000, you better do something. $10,000, yeah, I've really got to do something. 15, we're going into foreclosure. But if you just put may, well, the town may send me a letter, may not. Other than that, I'm fine with this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Linda. Anyone else? Jen?
Jennifer Briette, 83 Park Ave, and I'm also a member of the Blight Review Committee. So just a couple of things. We did a lot of work, but there is some disagreement on some of the ordinance changes proposed. One of the things that I have an issue with is the inability to make an anonymous complaint, or you can make the anonymous complaint, but no one is going to review that. We need either the ability to make an anonymous complaint, or we need the ability for the enforcement officer to initiate a complaint or an investigation. We pay an enforcement officer. We need to allow her to enforce the blight ordinance when she comes upon it. It should not strictly be a neighbor reporting a neighbor. The other thing that I disagree with is Section 14187, Blighted Property Fixed Tax Incentive Program. I don't believe at this time we need to incentivize people to purchase homes in Enfield. We have a shortage of homes. I don't see homes sitting on the market that we need to reduce the taxes collected on any property. Those would be my issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Anyone else for the blight public hearing? Going for the second time? And the third time? Okay, at this time, I'd like to close the public hearing for the regulations, updated regulations on the blight. And are there any questions from the counselors at this particular time? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn for 12 minutes.
Second.
All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you. Call the regular town council meeting of October 7th, 2024 to order. And may we stand for a prayer by Councilman Nasuda. Then we're going to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance being led by the Boy Scouts. If I can ask them to come forward, please. Jim?
Okay, first, I'd like to start with a moment of silence for the lives lost in Hurricane Helene, please. Thank you. Heavenly Father, please be with all those affected by Hurricane Helene, as well as the utility workers, aid workers, and countless good Samaritans providing help and assistance. We also ask that you keep safe those in the path of upcoming Hurricane Milton. We ask that you give us, the council members, wisdom and guidance as we deliberate on items before us. We pray for wisdom, for strength, and courage to do what is right and good for all the residents of Enfield, Connecticut. Amen.
Amen. Gentlemen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. And can we have roll call, please?
Councilor Nasuda,
Here.
Mayor Nelson,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Pisner,
Here.
Councilor Russo,
Here.
Councilor Santinella,
Here.
Councilor Ungary,
Here.
Councilor Sakala,
Here.
Councilor Crisati,
Here.
Councilor Hendrickson,
Here.
Councilor Ludwig,
Here.
and Councilor Mangini.
Here.
11 members present, none are absent.
Thank you, Sheila. In the event of a fire and emergency, there are two means of exiting the council chambers. Exit out the rear doors and walk a safe distance away from the building, or through the side doors, go down one flight of stairs and out the rear doors and walk a safe distance away from the building. Okay, next, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting September 16th, 2024.
So moved. Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. And the regular meeting of September 16th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Are there any comments, corrections, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? That is also unanimous. Tonight's special guests, we do not have any, so we will move on to public communication. Any person who wishes to address the council shall first be recognized by the chair and shall state their name and address for the record. They shall limit their remarks to 5 minutes. After each person who desires has had a chance to speak, those desiring to speak a second time will be permitted to do so and shall limit their remarks to 3 minutes. During public communications, item 7 on the agenda, public members shall limit their remarks to 2 rounds, 8 minutes. During public communications, item 16 on the agenda, if prior to 11 p.m., each person shall limit their remarks to 3 minutes. Public communication shall be limited to 1 hour unless extended by a majority vote on the council. All remarks shall be addressed to the council as a whole and not to any individual member. All remarks addressed to the administration of the town of Enfield shall be addressed to the town manager and not to an individual employee. Public members shall observe proper decorum and good conduct and shall refrain from personalities and improper language. Who would like to come up and speak first? Sir, in the back.
Hi again. When you said Councilman Hendrickson, I almost said here. My name is George Hendrickson. I live on 26 Roy Street, and I want to start by saying thank you so much to the police department. My wife looked out the window yesterday, and she noticed them pulling over those who are blowing the stop sign on between Booth and Roy, so I really appreciate that. Secondly, I'd like to ask you to do it again. Please give me that speed sign right around the Halloween time frame, because last year you guys took it away right before Halloween, and that's when I really needed it, because the kids are running around in the street. They're not looking either way before they cross the street, and people are blowing through. My kid almost got hit by a Ford F-150, a gray one, last year. I was actually at my neighbor's house getting him some chocolate, and he ran out, ran down the hill, and Ford F-150, like, he slammed his brakes. He didn't see him, he had his lights on. So I really would appreciate it if you do it again. And I am off my soapbox now. I'm gonna walk out the door, and I'm not gonna bother y'all until next month. Okay? Have a great evening.
Thank you, George.
You're welcome, sir.
Mary Ann Turner.
I feel like I'm sitting in a big girl's chair. Yeah. Mary Ann Turner, 7 Meadow Road. I sit on the Blight Committee too, and I just wanted to say something that the public may need to understand. Perception is reality. Mr. Denny is right. What are we doing? What I will tell you, the Blight Committee and the town is trying to do a lot. The problem is, it seems silent to the public. And, you know, when you see Click Fix something, or you see, you know, and again, I'm going to strongly urge, if you don't know what See Click Fix is, everybody go on your computer and type it in. And you can put down anything you see. You could be driving any part of town and you see something, and it seems out that shouldn't be there, piles of trash, you know, cars parked weird, or whatever it is that catches your eye, trees growing out of the roof of a house. See, Click Fix it. And it doesn't matter if it's in your neighborhood or not, but if we are good stewards of the whole town. My point is to this in front of the council is that the public may not realize that through See, Click Fix or something, the enforcement officer, something, we know about some problems. And they may be very slow in getting acted upon, not because we're trying to go slow, but there may be a foreclosure process, the people haven't come in front of us. There's always more to every story, is what I'm basically getting at. I would love to see us click of fingers and us all be beautiful. But sometimes, as we have learned on Blight, what is beautiful to me may not be beautiful to them. They may think it's fine. So what I would say to you is, yes, if you have a problem in your neighborhood or you see something, See, Click Fix it, or let the town manager know, because he has nothing to do all day, and you know, or let your councilman know. They can help you. But please understand, I can guarantee you, we are trying to do stuff, and really and truly, this blight ordinance is to help get that accomplished for you. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Sir.
Back again in October, trying to save the Martha Parsons House Museum. My name is Bill Housley, 30 Old Abbey Road. The House Museum Martha Parsons donated to the town 60-plus years ago with an endowment to support its care and operations is today at risk. It has never been effectively managed. The Martha Parsons House is an Enfield treasure, far more than most know. We must save it from the intent of the Enfield Historical Society to sell it and disperse most of its collections. Miss Parson, inducted into the Connecticut Women's Hall of Fame, donated her family's 18th century house and household possessions going back centuries, together with an endowment. She did her job. I hope we do ours, and am willing to donate time and treasure to to a development plan I would like to work on with a sympathetic group of civic-spirited allies. None of this is easy. Running any kind of museum involves marketing, fundraising, volunteer and staff coordination, public programming, and, of course, a passion for and understanding of what the museum is about and why it matters. Enfield has a few wonderful treasures. We've lost some and should strive to protect the best of what's left. Martha Parsons House is one of those, as is the Enfield Historical Society Museum, Hazardville Institute, and the incredible potential for archaeology in the Scantic Linear Park. Gone is gone forever. Come back for the November 18th Town Council meeting, when I hope to be invited to make a presentation with PowerPoint so we can see what it is that makes this a site worth caring about. We'll take a close look at what it is, why it matters, and what needs to be done.
Thank you, Bill. Sir.
Good evening. My name's Jeffrey L. Cross, and I reside at 1116 Enfield Street with my wife, Colleen Ann Reedy, and my son, Andrew. The conversation which I'm about to have, I've titled The Stupid Party. I am a registered Republican and an avid Trump supporter, and my wife is a registered member of the Green Party. I'm sure you've heard of the expression, referring to the Republican Party as the stupid party. I believe Republicans are referred to as the stupid party is because when they finally get in power, they do something stupid, and it turns the electorate, against it. I feel the political actions of the Republican leadership of the Town Council of Enfield is living up to that motto, or will be soon. My wife and I have been involved in many community activities over the decades in Enfield, especially my wife, Colleen. She has been a member of the Enfield Beautification Committee, Enfield Garden Committee, including as chairperson, a member of the Thompsonville Fire Commission, chairman for 2-3 years, through February 2020. A member of the Enfield Cemetery Association, a member of the Enfield Revitalization Committee, and a volunteer for the Enfield Dog Park. And finally, as a member of the Enfield Historic District Commission. Colleen's most recent application for the Historic Commission was presented for her reappointment on August 6, 2024 to the town's manager's office. Unfortunately, her appointment was pushed off the agenda in the 9/16 meeting, town council meeting. Since then, the town manager's office informs Colleen Ann that she's being replaced on the commission, and that her seat on the commission is being occupied by, quote, a Republican, unquote, newcomer. She was informed that she may be offered a position as an alternate. Colleen's been down that road before, by the way, for over 5 years in the 20-teens. My wife enjoyed her position on the Historic Commission and was looking forward to her next term. But it appears her experience, knowledge of town activities, mechanisms, operations, processes, and just overall expertise on the town's working is no longer needed on the commission. It's moves like this that the Republican Party is rightly named as the stupid party. Republicans should be known for good governance, not petty machinations disposing of valuable volunteers. Don't live up to that motto. Do the smart thing. Keep my wife on that commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Anyone else? George?
George Young, 8 Holly Lane. What I have to say tonight in the beginning will be responded to when Mr. Bronson gives you the town manager report. My prior request in the previous 8 or 9 months has been to see a copy of the financial statement, the audited certified financial statement for June 30th, 2023. Let's stop with the excuses, and we ask the mayor to make public why it has taken so long to complete this task. Has the town manager not supported the finance department with the right and enough personnel to get this job done? I know of no large CPA firms that do not get the job done if their questions are responded to timely. They work many, many hours to complete reports when necessary. We are already into the 4th month of a new fiscal year, and another fiscal year was just completed June 30th. I know that a person left the finance department and a replacement hired over 10 months ago, and it takes a while to be up and running, but that is not an acceptable excuse. If this was the water pollution control facility or the police department, then steps would have been taken to right the ship almost immediately. That speaks volume as to where the priority is in finishing the annual report. I visited finance department at the end of July and was again told it would be next month. It's now October. I would request that the council obtain a written report to be shared with the public as to why this is happening and ensuring that the efforts and that the new auditors do not have the same problem. The department needs another qualified degreed, and I say degreed, accountant on their team. When the staff can provide information to the auditors instead of the auditors having to do it, we will save money. The council is asking for a forensic or regular audit of the school board's revenues and expenses when the town has not completed its own audit. I wonder, are we going to be asking the new audit team to do this audit, which might be a redo of much of what the prior audit team has to do or has done, or do we have the same audit team do the audit, which might save time and money since they are familiar with our system? I would hope and believe that we should retain the prior audit team, if they're willing, in order to expedite the process. I'm not sure, but I doubt the 3-year requirement to change auditors will be a conflict if they are performing a different type of audit, especially since they have been the auditors for the last 5 years, even though they changed ownership. The wheel does not have to be reinvented, but closer examination is in order. We are also entering, and many are already there, a new era of AI. Is our finance department there yet? Artificial intelligence is growing faster than the internet did, and we know how fast that went. Mr. Mayor, unless the council pushes for this as an education for the whole town, including budgeting for the school system, we will be scrambling within the next 5 years. Students, teachers, seniors, and everyone else will face a revolution in technology that will make your head spin. Let's have courses available now to educate all of us. I did not get a chance to state this past month, but the high school baseball team is not going to play ball at the high school. It is going to be played at Pollard Hollow. That has been established and clearly been committed. I want to thank the mayor for his effort to get the dugouts and landscaping, even if it didn't go through. If any council member did not vote for the dugouts because your belief that the game belongs at the school, then why not just abstain from the vote and let's finish this project or any others once and for all, for now. Thanks.
Thank you, George. Donna?
Donna Dubanowski, 23 Betty Road. Haven't had a chance, I missed the public hearings on the blight. Just want to make sure that if we are going to put in a blight ordinance, I know we already have one, but we're not to use drones on people's property because that is an invasion of our privacy. And also anything in my backyard is in my backyard. So I haven't, again, sorry, I didn't do my homework on it, but I just want that to be on the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Anyone else? For Lucian, come on up.
Lucian Lefebvre, 54 Kimberly Drive, also chairman of the Enfield Veterans Council. On September 29th, the Veterans Council had the honor to host our annual Gold Star Family Luncheon to support the families and remember their heroes lost in defense of this country. When people are out riding around, when you see these Blue Star banners, Gold Star banners hanging on someone's house, the difference between the two is the Blue Star banner represents the family has somebody serving in the armed forces. The Gold Star banner represents a family that lost a loved one in defense of this country. So it was a great honor to host that event, which includes families in Enfield and the surrounding communities. Next, save the date. Veterans Day Parade is November 10th. Steps off at 1 o'clock from down by the Enfield Street School, concludes up at the Town Green. If the parade is rained out, the ceremony is moved into the auditorium at Enfield High School. But we have great faith that we will always have good weather for our parades. The ceremony after the parade at the Green, we have a guest speaker this year. It's a 2-star retired Rear Admiral, Brian LaRoche. Brian is a 1978 graduate of Enfield High. So we have a little hometown connection, and he will be our guest speaker this year. The week prior to the parade, flags will be placed in the cemeteries throughout Enfield. And I've mentioned it before, I'm going to mention it again. We need help cleaning around the flat veterans markers in those cemeteries. If you've got somebody interned in one of those cemeteries, a family member that's a veteran, you see another veteran's grave just to either side of it. If they need to be cleaned up, please pitch in and help clean them up. There's like 5,000 veterans in the town of Enfield. We can't go around and clean off every stone. It's just impossible. So we ask that support from the public. And the reason being is we don't want to miss honoring a veteran of this town. For information on different veterans events, all you have to do is go to the town website, click on the tab for veterans, and the website has all the information of the veterans' upcoming events. Another thing, people may think it's early, but it's not. Wreaths Across America will be on Saturday, December 14th this year. Please continue to sponsor wreaths and attend the ceremony on December 14th at St. Patrick's Cemetery. Again, that is on the Veterans tab on the Enfield website. And lastly, there's a Veterans Day dinner that is sponsored by the Enfield Elks. What they've got down is says, join us for a Veterans Day dinner where we celebrate and thank our country's veterans and active duty military members. It's on November 8th. It's a Friday night at 6 o'clock. So it's the Friday prior to the parade. It's at 138 North Maple Street, the Enfield Elks. In order to attend, you have to RSVP. RSVP is by November 4th to Laura Ennis at 860-394-8502 or lauransc21@gmail.com. Again, you have to have the reservation to go. The cost is $12 for guests, free for the veterans. And this year it's a prime rib dinner. So again, you have to make the reservation. If you call in after November 4th, You're not going to be attending because they're ordering the food to accommodate the number of people. Again, it's Laura Ennis at 860-394-8502 or lauransc21@gmail.com. And look forward to seeing a lot of people there. So the veterans to come out and be honored, and the guests to support the veterans. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucian. Tom?
Tom Kinsler, 359 Washington Road.
Christina Tatro, 42 Green Manor Road.
We wanted to take this opportunity because of the timing to review with the public the early voting for the upcoming election. As you know, we're expecting a rather large turnout. Somewhere in the 80 to 85% of our electorate is going to be showing up to vote. And we have made a lot of effort into promoting the early voting, which is a 14-day period that starts
October 21st through November 3rd. Most days, the hours are from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. On October 29th and 31st, the hours are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., and that happens here in the basement level of Town Hall in the Enfield Room.
And with that said, we've done a few things to shore up that that's going to be able to accommodate the voters. We have staffing levels set up. We just finished today for all 14 days. It's a smooth, easy process. Most of you, or several of you, the last time came in when it was slow and participated in that. I thank you. We really encourage as many people to do that as possible. Of course, you still have absentee voting, which is in full swing. We already have over 860 applications in for absentee votes, and it's still almost a month till Election Day, so we're expecting several thousand. So we're bracing ourselves. We went on the Senior Living Cox channel with Mike and did a whole segment about all the voting choices that the voters have. So we encourage you, as you hear things, people asking questions, direct them to the town website. Everything that we just talked about is on there. And thank you very much. Anything else?
Thank you.
Mike Hellichu.
It's on the Cox
Allied Attic.
station. If you look for the scene on the Cox TV channel, like every other day.
He does like a Dick Cavett interview with different people in town that have things that affect the seniors, and it was very well done, and it was a good job. No, and that wasn't.
Thank you. Anyone else? Joe?
Joe Lois, 31 Stardust Drive in the town of Enfield, District 1. Kim Nelson is our councilman. I taught science for 20 years. I was physics, chemistry, environmental science, biology, anatomy, and physiology. The reason I say that is I hear a lot of misinformation about science. Let's start with
Joe, turn your mic on, please. Push the button.
It's on now?
Thank you.
You want me to do it over?
You're all set.
Everybody knows who I am. Okay. Before that, I was in manufacturing. People talk about carbon dioxide as an existential threat or climate change. It is not. Okay? What is an existential threat is CTO, electronics, plastics, packaging, and water. Okay, so let me start with the easiest one, water. 71% of the water is on the earth, the rest is soil. So that means that 3/4 of our earth is water. 97% is salt, 3% is fresh water. Why is water an existential threat? Because the money we're paying to generate electricity should be put into desalting plants, not only in the United States, but in Africa, where we send money over, in Asia, in certain parts, and in South America, because we should be upping 3% to 4 or 5%. Secondly, electronics. Having worked in manufacturing electronics, we pot them. What pot them means is we take the electronic and we glue it, and then we mold over it. That is useless as an electronic when you try and recycle it, which is called cradle to grave. In other words, you build something and then you have to dispose of it. Every electronics, the electric car, is a big disposal problem compared to the internal combustion engine car. Packaging. Thanks to Amazon, I'm not a big fan of it. I will use it occasionally. We have more plastic waste, 8 million tons and mounting from China in the Pacific Ocean. They do not have the Environmental Protection Agency. They're finally getting their act together a little bit, but the biggest polluter is China. The second biggest polluter is India. Now, in terms of electricity, China, where did I put the notes? Oh, okay. China generates 1,147 gigawatts. In case you wonder what a gigawatt is, your house runs on kilowatts. 1,000,000 times your kilowatts is a gigawatt. China makes 1,147 gigawatts out of coal. We make 318 gigawatts out of coal. China makes 5 times more electricity out of coal. Why are we worried about coal? In Bridgeport, 2021 was the last turnover of a coal-fired power plant in Bridgeport, a very big city. It was turned over to solar panels? Nope. Wind turbines? Nope. It was turned over into natural gas. There are gas lines coming all the way over. At the Republican National Convention, a petroleum engineer, and I have a family that's a petroleum engineer, so I keep track of this, said there are 500 years worth of natural gas in Pennsylvania. What are they doing with it? They are making plastics out of it for the United States and the world because New York won't run it through the lines to us and to New England. Secondly, biome. A biome is a large area. It includes climate change, which, by the way, is a prediction. It's not fact. Vegetation, animal life, and human activity. Everyone's biome is different because of human activity and vegetation. I have a word for biome. I've made a little different word than that, and that's called, and engineers, please take note of this, as us scientists have taken note of it. Biome really stands, in my mind, for build, install, operation, maintenance, and then the energy to either build and install and operate and maintenance, or the energy you get from it. Therefore, a wind turbine fails build, fails installation in terms of financial, environmental, and physical.
Time's up.
My time's up.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. Anyone else like to come up and speak for the first time? For the second time? George.
George Young, 8 Holly Lane. I have a suggestion to reduce the time the council spends at each meeting for voting. Unless there is some Robert's Rules of Law that won't allow this, I would like the council and the Charter Revision Committee to consider the following. When asking for a verbal vote for or against a resolution, why not do an exception type of vote? If you are abstaining, raise your hand. If you're against something, raise your hand. Since we already have taken attendance, then the town clerk would indicate the remaining members are for the proposal. This would speed up the process and stop some of the hesitation that goes on, and frankly, reduce the boredom we have with your voting after the resolutions have been completely discussed. Speaking of the charter, I'm glad the mayor and the council has recommended a list of appointees to the Charter Revision Commission. The makeup of these 11 appointees is much different than the original suggestion last February. I'm also glad that the 2 council members will be advisors to the commission and not voting members. It does seem like a young, diverse, and dedicated group of people. I do have at least one issue, and possibly 2, that according to the Connecticut General Statutes, Title 7 in Section 7-190, it states there cannot be more than a bare majority of whom shall be members of any one political party. That means one more than somebody else. I understand that to mean one more, and therefore this recommendation has 5 Democrats, 3 Republicans, and 3 unaffiliates. I cannot comment on the other requirement that not more than 1/3 of whom may hold any other public office in the municipality, because that information is not complete on their application for the commission. 1/3 of 11 members would be 3 and not 4. I trust the council or someone else will check it out. I would like the town attorney, Mr. Tyler, to give a public opinion on whether the bare majority has been met and how the unaffiliated voter candidates would impact the membership, which you stated you would do back in February of 2020, which he did. I understand you people have a copy of it. Mr. Henderson or another council member, I would like you to request the resolution for tonight be tabled until the next meeting to get answers to these questions I have presented. A bad scenario would be to have the commission invalidated for ignoring these items of concern. Go Yankees. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Anyone else for the second time? Joe.
One thing I forgot to mention, which is critical, CTO stands for cold to olefins, which means you make plastic with coal. The country that's making plastic with coal and doing it at an increased rate, even though they're importing oil from Iran, is China. China is using coal because that's their 3rd largest asset. Guess who has the #1 asset of coal, the most coal in the world? United States and Canada. Why are we getting blamed for the environment when China is pushing coal? And when they make coal into plastics, they generate 3 times as much carbon dioxide as an oil process or a natural gas, 4 times as much as a natural gas process, which is done in areas like Pennsylvania. So I think we're on the wrong track in terms of overall what each country is going to do. Russia has the most natural gas. We have the 5th most natural gas in the world. Countries will use their assets to sustain their viability. And so China is not going to stop using coal. It has, in the last 10 years, it has 10 times as many coal-fired power plant units than we do. And if they're new, that means that their nameplate, which is the lifespan, is probably in the neighborhood of 45 to 50 years. So in 2070 and 2080, they will then join everyone else with green energy, which by then, in the next 5 years, probably will not be a topic of discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll close public communications and move on to councilor communications. Anyone? Councilman Mangini.
I first would like to thank Lucian and all the veterans for the lovely invitation to attend the Gold Star Family Luncheon. It was truly an honor. And again, we need to always remember our veterans and their families, especially during these times. So, Lucian, thank you very much for the remembrance, and putting on a phenomenal demonstration of care and love for these people. Thank you for that. And I also would like to congratulate the several Roman Catholic churches that whose children were confirmed yesterday at St. Joseph Cathedral in Hartford. It was a beautiful ceremony, and many of our Hartford Archdiocese churches came together and celebrated confirmation for the students, which was really very beautiful. I also would like to welcome LL Bean to our town. They had a really nice grand opening, and the store is just beautiful, phenomenal, and I'd like to wish them well. I'm sure they're going to do great here in Enfield. I already stopped in a couple times. I do want to ask a question through our mayor to town staff, maybe Steve, I'm not sure. I'd like to know where we are with the DEI committee, the diversity committee. There seems to be some question as to how we're attracting members, how many members are we looking for, when's our next meeting. If not now, Steve, maybe at some point you can give an update on how we proceed. The group is very anxious to move forward, but we need some direction. We need some clarity on what's the next step. So I'd like to pose that question. Thank you.
All set, Cindy? Jim?
I would also like to thank Lucian and the Veterans Council as I attended the Gold Star luncheon as well. Greatly done. Thank you. And I'd also like to thank those who worked so hard on the farmers market. It wrapped up yesterday, and I thought they did a great job and going down there and enjoying the crafts and the farmers and a little bit of music, a little bit of music on a Sunday afternoon as well. So I'd like to say thank you to all those involved with that. And that's it.
Thank you, Jim. John?
Thank you. First, Mr. Young, you think these meetings are boring? You should sit up here for a little while. Our viewership is up across town. This is appointment viewing, like the good old-fashioned days, from what I understand. So I'll do my best to make these more interesting and exciting for you. I do want to just acknowledge again the Boy Scouts. It's always great to see Scouts here. I know you're probably working on your citizenship in the community badge, and it's always nice to have Scouts in the audience. So thank you, and thank you for leading us in our Pledge of Allegiance this morning, or this evening. And also just thanks to the people who came out to talk about the Blight Ordinance. The Blight Committee has put a lot of time and effort into doing those revisions, and Mayor Nelson and I sit on that committee. I think we enjoy that committee. We work really well together on that committee, and it's really important for us to have the input that the community gave us tonight. And so I just wanted to say thanks to the people who came out and spoke about that. And then the last thing. Chris, I'm just going to send you an email tomorrow. There's some questions about the pickleball courts and the conditions of the pickleball courts. I have something written out that I was going to send to you earlier, but I will address that tomorrow. And I just wanted to let you know that's coming your way. So, but that's it. That's all I had today.
Thank you, John. Bob?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to everybody that came out and spoke. George, thank you for, go Yanks, being a Yankee fan. We're going to try to make this meeting pretty quick so that we can get to it, all right? So, thanks for that. And too bad Mr. Golis left. Too bad I didn't have him for my science teacher. Talk about, some of that information that he gave to us, I think I would have fell asleep, to be honest with you. And I like Mr. Golis. He's a good guy, but for and Mr. Cross, thank you for coming up. Colleen, very supportive of you, and I still think that you should be that person on the committee, and I know that we had discussed being an alternate and all that, but my heart says that you should be on that committee. So I just wanted to publicly state that. You're welcome. Last week, Allied had a walk. They had a fundraiser for their athletic programs. The reason why Allied always has these fundraisers is because the state of Connecticut does not fund a dime for anything for the state programs that Allied Stars are involved with. So I want to thank all the vendors and all the sponsors who attend this event. You'll be surprised the amount of money that gets raised for this particular program. I know some counselors did come out to support, and I thank everybody that did come out. It was a great day. It was a beautiful day. The walk was awesome. The vendors that were there, they even had therapy dogs there, which was pretty interesting. But once again, thank you to everybody that did come out. Also, just put this in your memory bank. In February, there's another big fundraiser, gala special event, and I'll give everybody that info once we get closer to it. Also, besides that great economic breakfast that we had, with the governor and the staff did a fantastic job. I just want to say that the Connecticut Job Fair and the Capital Workforce Partners, that was an event that was really something that Enfield should be proud of. And, Chris and your staff and everybody that worked very hard behind that, and the number of businesses that were there. And over at Asnuntuck, they even had a special section where if somebody was ready to hire, they had an interview room for them right there. And that was pretty interesting. And, but to the Capital Workforce Partner and the relationship that we have with them, and hundreds of people that attended this job fair was outstanding. And, this is something that, CROG, and another thing that I'm just going to mention that I still think that we need to get into CCM. I know that we're not, but I still think overall we still need to be a participant in that particular organization. And also that following day, also at Asnuntuck Community College, was the Enfield Together Coalition kickoff for mental health and isolation. We had Senator Murphy there and Lieutenant Governor Bysowitz. So in Enfield this past week was really important. We had all these people helping with these particular programs, and it really says something about our town and community. So I did want to mention that, and I think the last thing that I am going to mention is that, every year the Enfield Hall of Fame has their induction ceremony, and, I have the privilege to speak at it just about every year, and, and this year they honored the Fermi girls soccer team from 98, 99, and 2000 as team awards, and also the Enfield High State Championship basketball team from the 2003-2004 year. And I'm just going to mention the people, the late Ed Perillo, and then the late Rob Hudson was a hockey player, and congratulations to them who were inducted into the Hall of Fame along with golfer Brandon Chikorka, who I had the pleasure of being his escort for the event, and Don Massey for field hockey, Bob Basewitz for football, basketball, and track. He was a track star, and Lenny Shorts for soccer and him being a soccer coach. It was a great evening, And that's all that I have to say. But just one to the mayor, to the town manager, and to the town attorney. Could we, or maybe you could send an update? I had given you some information about a claim, a KERMA claim, and that was back the end of September. I sent some information about over on Old King Street with the sewer, and the damage of, I think a couple of cars maybe even got damaged. But if we can get just an update on that, thank you very much. Okay. All right. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Bob. Councilman Russo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, the Boy Scouts, for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. That was great. Go Mets. I'm guessing I'm probably the only New York Mets fan in this room tonight, reliving the glory of 1986. Yeah,
that was a tough one.
big game against the Phils tomorrow night. So last week, our new superintendent, Mr. Stephen Macchio, started his official duties. Believe it or not, I first engaged with Mr. Macchio during what was probably his first professional educational experience. It was a long time ago. I have to preface it by saying back in the day. So back in the day when I was a young, impressionable student at Agawam High School, I took a physics class, and I thought I was taking a class with Mr. Gage, but we had a student teacher for the semester, and that was Mr. Macchio. Mr. Macchio was a student teacher for my physics class. I guess you could say I was probably his guinea pig, his first guinea pig. I know when people think back to the distant past, you usually remember the really good experiences or the really bad experiences. You really don't remember much in between or in the middle. I do remember Mr. Macchio, and it was a really good experience. Plus, I think he gave me a really good grade. Fast forward about 30 years now, I know the community has high expectations for Mr. Macchio. We are looking for strong leadership. I'm also really hoping he can help square the budget away. I wish him all the best. If he succeeds, Enfield succeeds. Thank you.
Well said, Jeff. Well said. Lori, anything? Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the mayor to the town manager, again, I want to thank the town manager and I always forget his title, Steve Hall, our Director of Emergency Management. Did I get it right? So I want to remind people, after a great prayer, eloquent prayer by Councilor Nasuda, recognizing the loss of life there in Hurricane Helene. And unfortunately, it sounds like Florida is getting ready for another vicious, what I saw today, a Category 5 hurricane. I just want to remind people, so there's always good and bad in everything. And some of the good that you get with Eversource, and Chris knows this because we went through it, the 2021 storm that we had was actually worse in damage in this town than the 2011 storm. And we'll never forget being at the mall when we were waiting for help, when folks remember Eversource, a little delay, and then I'll never forget all the utility trucks that came from the south, specifically from North Carolina, and even some, I think, from Tennessee were here, and then from other parts as well, that came here and got our power back within basically 24, 48 hours. And so I just want to give folks an update that, again, I want to thank Steve Hall. He reached out to make sure, to reassure people that we're doing our part. So they helped us during our time of need. Just really informational that Eversource has sent approximately 40 line crews and 20 support personnel down to what's called the Appalachian Power in Virginia. So Connecticut is doing its part and paying really back a group of people that helped us in our time of need in 2021. And I'm going to have a quote from the CEO of Eversource, Joe Nolan. Basically this is how mutual aid works. Utility companies are first to go to a devastated storm, and they both show up for their time of needs. He's very proud of his employees. I just want people to know, look, they were here for us in 2021. And again, to remind, it was more damage in this town than 2011. And I'll never forget the amount of trucks that were at the mall. And then I know you were with me when we were up at Shaker Pines, and those trees were all over the place. And those Duke Energy vehicles came rolling into Shaker Pines. So I can only imagine what's going on if you've seen some of the photos in North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, Virginia, South Carolina, now Florida. I mean, these storms are unbelievable, and I just want to remind people there is a lot of good that happens. Eversource departed on Sunday, September 29th, and they're down there working on Appalachian Power. And just again, we're all neighbors in a strange way. You know, the people in the south are our neighbors, and we're their neighbors in the north. Just think it's important for people to understand that the good news is we are trying to do our part to help them deal with what I'm sure, again, if you've seen the photos, some very devastating, damage all over the south. So just an update. I want to thank Steve Hall for following up. And again, these storms can happen anytime, and we're not immune to them. So thank you.
Thank you. Gina, you have anything? No? Councilman Hendrickson.
All right. Sorry to the baseball fans. I actually do have some things to talk about here tonight. First, I want to thank Attorney Tyler Serrato and Merriman for their work on the Siting Council. The post-hearing brief was excellent. I'm not an attorney, but it was well written. And hopefully we get the results. November 8th is the decision on that. November 10th, sorry, you're correct. Also to the town attorney, through the mayor to the town attorney, I am looking for a response or okay for the work for the Warden T-Bolt's veterans inmates to possibly help Lucian on the grounds at the cemetery. I think I did get okay, thank you on that. Also, can I get through the mayor to the town manager, an update on the lower field lights at Brainerd Park? I believe they were going to use some of the lights from the old one when they did the upper field, and currently there's 5 out of 10 light banks that are not working on the field. I would also, all right, I would like to refer to the DPW subcommittee to get a cost to renovate the 6 elementary schools we have now. We've been talking about modernization for 3 years now, and I think it's time we get something done on the schools. I don't know if this is the correct way to do it, because I did try on the farm tax abatement, and I've been told I'm doing it wrong, so. Also on that, I'm offering to the BOE, I know one of the big problems was additional space, and I would like a meeting with the BOE to discuss possibly adding additions to the buildings, if that's something that they're interested in, just to get this moving. I'm seeing 3 years. I'm trying to get something resolved on the schools this time. And one other thing on the farm tax abatement, which I've been nauseam here trying to get it through. I thought I followed procedure, policy. I'm trying to read into, if I'm doing something wrong, can somebody show me the correct way to get something to a public hearing, for the council to vote on a public hearing? Because I am on governance subcommittee, several meetings. We had attorneys there. I've had the mayor there. We've had farmers there. And I would like to get some kind of a vote here. So I'm just putting it out there. That's it.
Thank you, Bob. So, Chris, for Councilman Hendrickson, at what point would he request, 8 members or a vote to add it to the agenda where 8 members have to approve it?
I know we've been discussing this. I can defer to Sheila and the town attorney, who are, more well-versed in it. I think last time the issue was you couldn't do it at that meeting for a future meeting. But at any current meeting, I think such as this evening, if you would like to, and I will defer to Sheila and the town attorney, I think it's appropriate this evening to do it if you wanted to add something, because it's on this agenda. So if you were to get the 8 votes, you could move. Now, the appropriate time to do that, I defer to the town attorney and Sheila, whether you do it now or when we reach the agenda. I don't know when you would move to add something to the agenda specifically. So they can look at, if they don't have an answer tonight, Mr. Hendrickson, they'll have an answer for you by the next meeting.
Just to go back on that, the blight review ordinance came up, and I don't remember an 8 vote for that to come up. So that's my questioning. Like, I don't know what I did wrong to distinguish between the two, getting a public hearing.
They'll look into it, Mr. Hendrickson, for you, because, we want to make sure that all the good work you do, when you want an item that you agree on to have on the council, that you have an avenue to do it. So I know I read something from the town attorney last time and from Sheila. They can look at it to codify it a little better for you, but they would know. But I think at any current meeting, if you want to add something, you can move to do it with a 3/4 vote. Sheila, would you like to just answer when they would make that motion?
It could be made during councilor communications to add an item to
Agenda.
the agenda,
So you could make it,
to set a public hearing for a specific date. I believe that the public hearing tonight was, correct me if I'm wrong, was an initiative from a department head. Just like, if I have a grant, I'll put it on the agenda or ask to have it put on the agenda, and then the leadership makes the final decision. But I think that came from a department.
okay?
So do you want to try to get the 8 votes and?
No, let me.
Okay. And so my next question is, we've talked a lot in leadership about the subcommittees and how the subcommittees need to work under the direction of the council. They don't just pick an item they want to decide to deal with, call in residents, have discussions with residents when the council may not support the actions of that subcommittee. So the council needs to refer an item to the subcommittee, like Councilman Hendrickson is saying right now. Now, I agree 100% with him on the school modernization, and at this point, I think we, as the responsible body for the buildings, need to do something immediately. And I think the quickest way to do that is to refer it to DPW, have DPW work with Donald Nunes, and get us a cost breakdown of what it's going to cost to repair the 6 individual schools. So is it a consensus?
You know, it's interesting. I think we've been doing a good job. The last meeting, we addressed this, and in leadership, and I think we've been implementing it, and Mr. Hendrickson just did it. I'd like to refer this to the subcommittee to review. Yes, we would need a consensus, because again, it's not 1, 2. There's a consensus, because if they go and do all this work, and then they come back and 8 of you say, well, we weren't interested in the first place. Now, again, I don't know that we need to implement both these things tonight. I see some quizzical looks. If you'd like, now that the town attorney and Sheila have heard exactly what you're talking about, maybe they want to come up with something and put it in writing for the next meeting, and you could consider it. Or you could put that on the agenda tonight. You could do the consensus tonight. But moving forward, I'm going to have them codify this so we're all on the same page. But I think it's working well. And I would just like to say, I think it's interesting. I'd like to do a survey and find out how many council votes unanimous. Because you know what? People think there's all this division, and on some things that are. You guys are almost always unanimous. I guarantee you the vote would be, or the count would be, you're 90% unanimous. You are united. And on certain issues, you're going to have divisions. But I think we're moving in the right direction. So I'm comfortable tonight. It's up to you if you want Bobber to defer it on making that motion. But if you do the consensus, we'll make sure it's referred, and we'll put it on the agenda for the DPW, and we can continue this process going forward. I think it's efficient.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to refer to the DPW subcommittee.
What you want, consensus?
Consensus.
Okay.
Can I-
Yeah.
Second, I have a question.
Sure.
So I think I agree. I went through our policies and procedures per our last discussion. There's not consistency in how, so we have a blight ordinance public hearing that I didn't authorize that committee to take up and do the work. So the general governance had meetings since beginning of the year. We had a public hearing everyone was invited to with the agricultural committee. Our town attorney was there. And so the question is, should a subcommittee be taking up nothing other than what's referred from the council? If that's the case, we need to change our policy and procedures to say that. That's all I'm saying. I don't disagree with you at all. But that's not happening, because some subcommittees again, we could go that through every single subcommittee, and we're doing it. So is it, the only way the subcommittee meets, is it by referral of staff and the council?
It's
If
great.
not, so-
And I love this, because this is so important. One, most subcommittees are established by a charge.
Right.
So they have an ongoing, look at roofs, look at school. And so they don't need anything from the council. You already did it in the charge. When the charge is done, what we have been kind of lazy about doing is looking at it and saying the charge is over, stop meeting, or if you have new work to do, come back and we'll give you a new charge. So that, I think, answers half the question. The other half is, I think over the last 2 years, we just sort of, it's a stylistic type of thing. I think subcommittees were doing more and then coming back, and we were finding out that the whole group wasn't interested in it. So I think there's no real right answer, but you're right.
rules and procedures and what we should be consistent. So we should look at all of this for next time. But I think we're on the right track by doing it this way. And some of the things in the past, Mike, you're right. They're inconsistent. They were different. But none of you were there, here, and I wasn't here mostly. So I think going forward, we're coming up with good policy and procedures.
Agreed. I think I agree with you 100%, but I want to be consistent because, again, there's committees that, you again, I mean, so what's the rule? Like, so again, the change in residence policy came from staff and then the committee met. So we're all over the place. And again, we've met in general governments on this, on the farmers. We've had public hearings. We had a 3-0 vote to send sample ordinances to leadership. So we've done all that. And so I'm just saying we've tried to follow a procedure, and I understand maybe some folks said we shouldn't have a public hearing, but there's nothing that says we couldn't have a public hearing.
Yeah,
and everyone was invited.
Right, and I'm not the guardian at the gate
No,
for
I
this.
hear
I'm
you.
not
That's
the
what I'm saying
arbiter.
to you, yeah.
But I think what we should do, I think this would be something good
I
for
agree.
us to discuss, maybe at a 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, where we can have an informal discussion. Let's put all the ideas and let's hash it out and decide what do you want to be going forward. But I appreciate the conversation.
I appreciate you actually sparked I went back and reread everything because you actually brought up a good point. And so that's why I went and read our policy.
Once in a while, Mike, I do.
We can agree on that.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry.
Right, I think the difference is with the use facility, or use charge through Jason came to the council. We referred it to the subcommittee, and you guys jumped on it and resolved it
But
immediately.
it's got to be consistent. That's my
Right,
point.
but that was the proper way to send stuff to committee, was through here. Because if none of us agreed, or only 2 of us agreed, what was the point of spending all that time?
I'm not
at
arguing,
committee?
but we're picking and choosing which ones we
Well,
want to
that's
follow.
what we're trying
right,
to
we're picking and
stop.
choosing. We had a public hearing on something that I didn't say that you guys should be working on. We're saying that we shouldn't have had a public hearing on farming when we followed all the rules.
It's got to be consistent
right.
and predictable, so we all know.
Yep, yep. All right, so is there consensus?
I second it. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so I'm looking for consensus to send this? Okay. I mean, we're just sending it to DPW to get a value. Yeah, I have discussion on that. Okay.
Okay, so I actually don't believe this should go to DPW at all. Number one, there was a school modernization. John Day has all of this information. Having Donald regurgitate what John Day is doing doesn't make much sense. 2, Joint Facilities actually is working on this, so I don't know why it would go to DPW. And 3, DPW has no Board of Education presence. So why would we be sending something to the DPW subcommittee that doesn't have a Board of Education presence? That doesn't make any sense.
So the question would be, who gave the charge to Joint Facilities? Because this council didn't.
Joint Facilities is a joint facilities, so if it's going,
Facilities has a charge to deal with the school roofs.
and facilities. So referendums, all of these things, they've all gone through joint facilities. I didn't put them on the agenda. I don't run that committee. I'm just saying it's been going through joint facilities. But to put it on DPW makes 0 sense because there's nobody from the Board of Education on DPW.
What's going through Joint Facilities? What charge has this council, who pays for these schools, given Joint Facilities to look at, to move forward?
That question should be to the chair.
Chair of what?
Joint facilities.
Well, what I'm saying is there is no charge from this council to Joint Facilities to look into making a decision whether we're going to build 3 new schools or renovate 6.
So there was a presentation that was done. That's my understanding. I actually attended it virtually. So there was a presentation, there was another meeting about it. I don't think I was at that meeting. And then I believe that, I don't know if it came from staff that wanted to discuss it or the leadership from the Board of Education that is on joint facilities. I don't know. I don't make the agenda. I just go to the meetings. I'm just telling you, it's been discussed at joint facilities. There's 0 reason for it to go to DPW. Regardless if you're mad that it's at joint facilities or not, to go to DPW, zero Board of Education presence on that committee. It makes no sense to discuss it there. It really doesn't.
Okay. Okay, thank you. John?
I think Gina pretty much said what I was going to say. We have a school modernization committee, or we had a school modernization committee. We have done all this work. I'm just not sure why we're not reconstituting that committee, or at least the people that were part of that, and starting all over again. And I agree. I'm not quite sure why. I'm not quite sure why DPW, but maybe there's something about I don't sit on DPW, so I don't know. But like, we've done all this school modernization work. Why are we not just reconstituting what we've done? So that's my only question. And I just, yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay, because the school modernizations plan was to build 3 new schools at $240 million, which we don't feel the town is in a position to borrow our future, as you always say, John. And the bond rating would be really challenged borrowing even close to that amount of money. So we are not going to waste any more time, because it's been 3 years, and allow Hazardville Memorial to get worse, or the roof at Parkman to leak worse. We're done. We're ready to move. And if the school would like to work with us on the improvements we're going to make to the existing schools, because we have to do something, because we're not. And that's what we're saying. We're ready to make a decision and move forward and repair, renovate to new, the 6 existing grammar schools. We've asked the Board of Education, are they considering redistricting? No, not right now. So they're not doing anything. So whoever's in charge of this has stalled the project because they're not getting 3 new schools. So wait us out, and who suffers? The children and the staff that are in these buildings. There isn't a person up here who doesn't think they need serious repairs. DPW controls buildings and grounds. The DPW has a list of everything that needs to be done to all 6 of these buildings. And I'm sure all Donald has to do is hit enter on his laptop, and he can print out each school without forming a whole committee that is going to spend $240 million. So that's what we want to start doing to move forward. And it's just talk. It's a committee. We're not moving anything, and it will come back to the council when we have a ballpark. Are we talking 40 million to fix the schools? Or are we talking 100 million? That's what we want to find out. It's simple.
So I mean, there's probably 200 assumptions in there, and I don't know that it sounds to me like you just don't want to work on 3 buildings, and you want to renovate 6 new schools and think that that's going to be less, and that's why you want to do that. I just don't know. Look, I think you guys already have your mind made up on this, so I mean, we'll just take it to the next step and see what happens.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other questions? Do we have consensus to send this and get that information?
I say yes.
Jim? Okay, we have consensus.
Mr. Mayor, now that that's concluded, Sheila, the clerk, would like to add some information to answer Mike's question she thinks might be helpful on the issue of the committees and votes and public hearings. Sure. Madam Clerk?
I think that when we're talking about the subcommittees, and for instance, the public hearing we had tonight, that there may be a little confusion, because the subcommittee are the small committees that are under the council. You know, policy committee, general governance and finance, where the Blight Commission is its own committee that can make a recommendation to the council. They can look at what they foresee as a problem or something that needs to be adjusted, and they can make the recommendation to the council, and the council can review it or not, or pass it or not. Where the subcommittees of the council, like finance and general government, are expected to have a charge from the council to be able to work on this particular issue. You know, where you make a consensus to send it to joint facilities or send it to where Blight is its own, with its own charge. Does that make sense?
I wanted to make sure she gave it to you that would help us in the discussion.
That makes total sense. Absolutely.
Thank you, Sheila.
All right, Deputy Mayor Pisner.
Okay, my turn. I'm just going to mimic what a lot of my counselors said. The Gold Star It is one of the events that is the most moving event that I said to Lucian, even if I'm not a counselor down the road, please invite me. I'll pay for my dinner. It's a great event. I went to the Allied Walk, one of my favorite things to do. A big shout out to Aaron and Christy and staff and Chris. I have so many friends in town that own small businesses, and the economic breakfast was such a hit. Like, it was out of the park good. And you killed it, Aaron. You did a great job. So thank you. I'm hoping it could be a yearly event. I mean, it was that great. There's a legislative breakfast that's going to be happening that North Central Chamber of Commerce is going to sponsor. It's on October 17th at 8:30 a.m. At the Senior Center. All the candidates will be there, so if you want to come out, have a meet and greet breakfast, do go on to the North Central Chamber of Commerce website. You can sign up for it there. I believe it's
$40 a person.
It is 40? Okay. Thank you, Cindy. So if anybody's interested. I had another thing here real quick, and okay. Lastly, again, Mayor to Town Manager. I don't know if people are aware of the fact, again, back in April, CERT, the federal program that monitors the meals for Meals on Wheels, Mark Twain, and the Senior Center, they were cutting it back. And through the grace of God, it got back put in, and all the meals were on the table again. It's being cut again. And the Senior Center, Mark Twain, and Meals on Wheels are going to be short meals every day. So we have not had a social services meeting in a while, Bob, correct me if I'm wrong. And Councilor Ungary is on that as well. So I'm wondering if we could put our heads together and have another social services meeting, have Cindy Guerreri there. I would like to have Kathleen come and Maya. Bob Hendrickson, if you'd like to join us, I know you're president of the food shelf. I think we can do better. I know the town, it's not their responsibility, and it's the state legislatures, none of them can help us, but I think together we can come up and brainstorm. We're able to give kids lunch all summer. I think we should be able to do something for our seniors to make sure that they're not missing a meal. So if we can get together, the three of us, and look for a date or a time that's good for our schedules, and then Chris, you were out, if you could ask Cindy Guerreri to join us for that, I would like to set up a social services meeting. So I know they were all in communication back in April when this first happened, and then, like I said, the money came. I'm not so sure the money's gonna come up a second time. And I don't wanna see, especially our Meals on Wheels, I don't wanna see them losing out on a meal. So whatever we can do to brainstorm, I'd appreciate that. Okay? And that's it. Thank you.
That's it?
I'm good.
Okay, I'm going to make this pretty short. It was a very busy week. The governor came Thursday, and then he went over to ECDC, and he revealed some great news for younger families that need help with daycare. And he was tremendous. He actually met my grandson, took pictures with him, talked with him and everything, and he was great. But I've got to say, I think the star of the week was the town manager, Chris. What he pulled off with that business breakfast and getting Capital Workforce Partners and the job fair together, and then even helping with the Enfield Together Coalition, everybody. I mean, it's in newspapers all over the country, large organizations, the governor, absolutely. You can see him leaning over to me and saying, boy, when he wants to make a point, he knows how to do it. And that's what was being said. And the governor was impressed. And I personally am honored to have you as our town manager. But you are probably the most unrecognized person that does the work behind the scenes, Chris. So I personally want to thank you, because I think you made last week a huge success. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
That's very kind. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And it is a group effort, you know that, and we get a lot done because not any of us need to take credit for everything. So I appreciate those kind words. Now you've thrown me off, and I don't know what the heck I was going to say. Really. Aaron, could you come up? I went out to ask Aaron because I want to follow up on something, the remarks of Marie. I would just like to say it was an incredible week. Enfield is the gateway to Connecticut, and the reason I say that to you, I would like you please to watch some of these. We recorded it all on ETV because I didn't do that 5 years ago, and I regretted it because we couldn't share the news with the residents. But the governor, first, the mayor said we're the gateway to Connecticut. Congressman Courtney said Enfield is the gateway to Connecticut. Aaron said Enfield is the gateway to Connecticut. The governor, everyone is acknowledging that we really are. We wanted to put up some of these photos to show you. We're at his Nantucket. We had over, I can't tell you, it was standing room only, hundreds of local businesses, all of our international, national people networking. And as the mayor said, it was a great success. This is Anthony. Anthony's the new tourism and marketing director for Connecticut. If you watch this, you'll be proud to live in Connecticut. And you know what? For a long time, Steve said, did you know we were the pizza capital of the world? Did you know we were the basketball capital of the world? Our oysters in Connecticut, all of these things that people, and we're finally getting recognized by them, and the hits on our website are now in the millions. Congressman Courtney, I don't know that guy. Next. This is where I caught these two, and I didn't put the one up where they were laughing because I had to look over and say, school is still in session, boys, and the governor, they were ready, but I wanted to put up one a little kinder, but I caught them before the class was out, and they tuned back in. This is the entire thing is on our website, but in particular, Marie gave the shout out to Aaron, and I will too, because he listed every single project that is now going on in Enfield. I really, except it's a late hour, I would play it because it's incredible. When you watch this, that's where we're getting and garnering the attention. I went to a physical today. My doctor's office is all over, and he's in Enfield, and he said to me, Chris, I said, what? He said, I don't follow the news. I'm not in politics, but I was in the Hartford office last week. All the staff was talking about was what the heck's going on in Enfield. There were a lot of people who didn't believe. I remember I should have clipped out the quotes. Oh, well, LL Bean, it'll never happen. It's not coming. Really? LL Bean, it's a 25,000 square foot store. It's the largest in the United States outside of LL Bean. They did a marketing study for the best markets. And Steve said to me, he was asking him, and the mayor was standing there, this is the VP from LL Bean, how'd we do? Why'd you pick Enfield? He said, we've been looking at Enfield for 3 years trying to find the best space. And he said, we also did the marketing study, and you came out 5. And Steve said, wow, in Connecticut we were 5? And he said, no, in the United States you came out 5. People in Enfield are going to have to wake up to the fact that when somebody is coming to the square to put $300 million in, and somebody is coming to the river to put a $150 million project, they've done marketing studies. The best kept secret is only in Enfield. The rest of the state and the country is starting to see it, and they're coming here. So please watch these, and I think you'll be amazed and you'll be happy. Aaron, do we have anything else up there? The next, the job fair. My gosh, this was the partnership the first couple days I came back. Bob said, I've worked with these folks. Again, I told you it's a relay race. The mayor couldn't be more happy. Let's meet. We met right away. They came and presented here. We did the first ever. We had
45 plus vendors and well over 300 participants. We couldn't quite count the students going through there because they were already students, but we had about 150 signed in and then more than 150 students that went through.
So it's going to be huge next year. Go ahead.
And so a couple more images of that. There's the LL Bean.
This is the LL Bean opening where they came down from Maine. Do you know we had hundreds of people that stood in line from 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
And I went down, I was early. I went down the line. Where are you from, right? Oh, it's going to be all Enfield people. East Windsor, Suffield, Middletown, Granby, Harwinton. They were from everywhere. Yeah. We are going to be the draw. They came to LL Bean, and they're going to come to everything we build here. This was the Enfield Together Coalition. This was incredible. We filmed it. I want you to watch it. Bob introduced the Lieutenant Governor, Susan Bysowitz. I had the good fortune of introducing Senator Chris Murphy. They come to Enfield because we're doing more than anybody else. And it's not just in Connecticut, it's in the country. They're taking some of the things we do from Stowe and early learning and bringing that and imprinting it. Courtney has done that. He comes, they make these announcements about increased aid. I'm going to give you one example. You know, it's always been a family. You know, you're struggling, you're working, and you have 2 kids. And I'll use for an example, you know, you're right on the edge and you're allowed to get daycare at Stowe if you make up to, say, 60 grand. If you get a raise or $1 more, up until now, you'd lose the whole thing. So somebody would say, what do I do? Now, do I fib? Do I make it up? Do I move away? I'm going to spend 20 grand now to make a $1,000 raise. What they did, they now gave a cushion. They said from that 60 to 80, we're going to work with you in that range. You can keep your day, you know, your daycare. So what we did in one day, we had the business breakfasts, bringing people in, recognizing people who were here. Number 2, we had a job fair to connect employers with employees. And then 3, we had the governor come to say, and when you go to work, we're going to give you a safe place for your kids to be and to learn. That's Enfield. Now, this Enfield Together Coalition was about a lot of initiatives that are being done about seniors being isolated, people being lonely. It's an incredible tribute to the town. And one thing I am very proud of, and not for me, but for Cindy Guerrieri, who we hired to run this department. And I'll tell you, they hired somebody, a consultant, to go, and they go in the schools, and they talk to all the children and people of every age about drugs, alcohol, sex. And we had the consultant. I give you the report, it doesn't mean anything. Watch what this man said about Enfield and our youth. Right, Bob? It was, Mayor, it was riveting. We have a good, healthy community here. So this time we recorded it. It's all up there. So I hope that you watch it and we continue to move forward. And I'm going to have to move Tom away because one of these times I'm going to whack one of them in the nose.
I have just
Aaron?
2 quick notes.
Sure.
Sure. So thank you, Council. One other thing that the town manager wanted me to add, before I do that, I'm sorry, Chris, I just want to make sure I mentioned that one of the first things that was said whenever I was hired was this business breakfast. You had done it like 5 years ago or something. And, you know, like, let's work this thing and make it happen and really rope this together and made it happen. So thank you for that. I just, to give you back a little bit of that praise back there. But I wanted to mention very quickly on this idea that we're getting a national impact. We have a group of 12 urban planners from around the country coming here on behalf of the American Planning Association, plus another group of 20 planners that will come virtually, all to take public input and create an action plan for Thompsonville with all these coming developments, the train station, all these different things. We have to kind of be ready for this. We're tentatively calling it All Aboard Thompsonville. There will be 2 full days of activities here at Town Hall, October 21st and 22nd, reviewing, researching, planning, meeting with the public, stakeholders. The planning department is working right next to me on this, and we're going to meet with a variety of stakeholders over these. But I wanted to point out 2 dates for you all, just so that you have them. October 21st from 6 to 7:30 in the Skidico Room will be a public meeting to gather input on the Thompsons revitalization. Members of the community that have thoughts or opinions are welcome to drop in. This is an unstructured, you can come at any time during that 6 to 7:30 period. And then on October 22nd at 5:30, either in here or in the Skidico Room, we haven't quite nailed that down, there will be a public presentation of the findings and initial concepts. So I really encourage any town council members that have that time on Tuesday, the 22nd at 5:30 to come for that presentation. And there will also finally be a youth version of this public input, and we're going to get that message out. So very, very cool national level program coming to Thompsonville and Enfield.
Thank you, and that's due to the efforts of this man and to Christy. We made a good hire with Mr. Aaron Markovich. Thank you, sir, for your efforts on behalf of Enfield. The last couple of things, and I'll just defer to Steve. I appreciate Mr. Young's comment. We have a good relationship. He came up to me and said that, you know, he wanted to know about the audit. And I said, well, I have the answers. And he said, well, then I won't say it. We'll do it then. I said, no. It's been long. No one's more frustrated than me, George. Come up and ask, and that way I can have Mr. Belinda explain what has occurred and why the report was delayed. So I thank you, Mr. Young. And Steve is going to address the question that Cindy had about recruitment for the DEI. So with that, I give you our Assistant Town Manager and HR Director, Steve Belinda.
Thank you, Chris. And I want to echo Chris's sentiment. He's frustrated, I'm frustrated, and John Wilcox is frustrated with this delay. This is an aberration that doesn't usually happen. I want to put a little bit more meat on the bone on why there was a delay. Our last deputy finance director left us. He retired at a vulnerable point when he was in the process of gathering information to prepare for the audit. We went through the hiring process. We went through the second round interviews. We made a job offer. Unfortunately, this person was comparing another job offer, and we lost her to the marketplace. We just couldn't compete. We had to go back out again, start the hiring process, start the interviews. Went through first round, second round. We did find someone, and we hired that person. But keep in mind, this is when budget is starting, and John is busier than a bartender on payday right now. So between getting this person on board, getting her situated, getting her set up, and there's a learning curve, he's busy preparing the budget. I'm just glad he didn't, have any health issues during this time, because we would have really been in trouble. But yes, he's frustrated. We're all frustrated. But suffice it to say, the draft report has been submitted. I was this morning on the phone with our auditors, and I think within 2 weeks we'll have the final report. We'll dot the I's, cross the T's, and it'll be submitted to everyone, and we can live another day. And this came on after Chris was hired as a town manager, but I assured him, because he doesn't want to see this happen again, and I don't blame him. But we are already better poised to get this audit done for next year, sooner, faster, better than this year. So let's just give this one a write-off based on lack of staff, but no one wants to revisit this again. Secondly, Councilor Mangini, I don't blame you for looking to me for guidance, because when I hire employees, I go out to the marketplace, I advertise, and I bring people in. I don't have that for committees. For some reason, you guys, people sign up, they see what's available, and they come to it. I don't have money for budgeting, for advertising, for committees. It's just not something that I've ever done in my almost 15 years I've been here, trying to staff committees. If you guys want to change it, then let me know, but I just don't have the tools needed to search and look. I mean, charter revision, look at all these people that submitted through no effort on my part. They just submitted their interest in wanting to be on that charter revision. So I don't know why certain committees attract people and others don't. I don't know if it's done through grassroots efforts on the effort of the town council, but it's not through me advertising saying, hey, there's a committee available, please sign up. So, I mean, I'll take whatever guidance you guys want to offer on how to staff committees, but right now.
So we'll take that under advisement. If there's something more of a role, we know it's difficult to get people. Part of the volunteerism and the tax break or credit is to accomplish that. So give it some thought. I don't think we need to discuss it further, but I wanted him, it's an important committee, and I didn't want anybody to think that we weren't giving it the attention, but we'll look for guidance as to if you want us to do something more to try to recruit for that committee or all committees in town for another evening.
Thank you to our mayor. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. And again, I know how difficult it is to get people to volunteer for committees. I also believe that the committee is not advertised. And again, I don't mean the town should be paying money, to advertise, but maybe put some of these committees, including the DEI, on a rolling slide. You know how we have the Enfield TV? Maybe say these are committees that are looking for volunteers.
We do some of that. We can check with Cheryl tomorrow to see to what extent, but continue, because if we don't do it, we can consider doing it.
Okay. I mean, that shouldn't cost anything. And it should be free advertising for, the public to jump on if they choose not only the DEI, but maybe Fair Rent or, another commission. Thank you.
I think, did I cover everything? Was there anything that we left out there? Okay, well, thank you very much then on town attorney's report, I imagine.
Okay, thank you, Chris. As usual, it's a tough act to follow, but if everybody liked what Chris says at these meetings, I want you to know I wrote it. Okay. I mean, well, if you're displeased with it, I had nothing to do with it. Anyways, thank you, Councilman Hendrickson, for your kind words before, and I'll start off that way with an update on the Siding Council. And a lot of the credit, by the way, goes not just to Jeff Merman, but Mark Serrato really did yeoman's work in the town attorney's office, and he was ably assisted by Sue Roach, who does far more than just a secretary. But anyway,
We did get our proposed findings of fact as well as a brief filed on the 3rd of October. And the next meeting that the Siting Council has is on October the 10th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They're going to televise it. And what they'll do at this time is they will review page by page, point by point, the draft by their staff of proposed findings. So they're going to take what we sent in, what Lodestar sent in, and so on, and they'll prepare their own draft. At that point, when they're done, point by point, page by page, discussing it all, it's my understanding they will take a straw poll vote to determine whether or not they want to approve it or not, or deny it. In the event that it's a favorable decision, they will then discuss, are they going to impose any reasonable conditions incorporated in their approval, and then they'll have their staff come up with an opinion, decision, and order, which will then be sent to the full Siting Council at the regular meeting for the final decision. But it's actually been a lot of hard work, and I know the residents, especially Town Farm Road, Abbey Road area, as well as the rest of the town, you're going to find out Thursday if you want to take a look at it, and then we'll see where that goes from there. There are possible appeals that can be taken in the event it's unfavorable, but we'll discuss that, if and when the time comes. We're always hopeful, and have done I think an outstanding job with limited resources that the town does have to fight these things. Anyway, then the second thing I want to talk about is Mr. Young brought up an issue about the interpretation of 7-190A, and that was part of my legal opinion I rendered back on February 20th. And rather than go through a hypothetical of the names and combinations on this, I think it's probably better to just wait, and you all know what the rules are, and then we'll make an interpretation at that point on the legality of it. And Councilman Crissati mentioned about a claim that was put in based upon somebody, I think, on Old King Street or whatever. Okay, the way that it works with the town is we have an insurance carrier, so this is not something the town actually has control over. So when a claim comes in and somebody says that they're injured, we have a duty to cooperate with the insurance company, provide them notice, provide them with cooperation, which also involves not making any statements to other people, including the complainant, about the status of their claim, for fear that we may jeopardize our own coverage with regard to the insurance policy that we have with KERMA or wherever carriers. So it's a difficult situation, especially for you when you're talking with a constituent or someone that you would like to push to have it resolved in their favor, but that actually would jeopardize our coverage on something if we go too far. I will see what I can find out and see what I can let you know, but yeah, that's why usually when things are filed and it goes to court, everybody says, I can't talk about it because you're in court. And it's the insurance company, again, that we have the duty to cooperate with. So I hope that it's not going to satisfy your client, but at least that's the answer.
Correct. And I think from her point of view is that she just wants to hear something from the insurance, from KERMA, because she hasn't heard anything from them yet.
And that's appropriate.
Yeah, that is.
And John's our liaison, and we'll make sure that he follows up on it, Mr. Crissati.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I just want to say, Bob, I addressed that 2 weeks ago, and I was also advised, we've got to stay out of it. This is between them and the insurance company.
And as a side to that, many times insurance companies will look for some way of saying you violated your duty to cooperate with us. The next thing you know, we're on the hook for something. So that we certainly want to avoid. But to have an insurance company not provide just common courtesy to people is something that we probably could address. And we'd be more than happy to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Yep. I think that's it for me, unless somebody has another question.
Councilman Ludwig.
Through the mayor of town, again, thank you for Mark and Sue and your staff. I mean, I know we talked a lot about, the siting council back in February, and I know we've had to be quiet because once it went to, sort of trial, for lack of a better term, we tried to be quiet, but you folks have been working on it through the summer, the presentation back in September. I mean, straw poll, hopefully, goes our way, but we'll see. I'm an optimist, so we'll see. But I want people to realize, I agree, your staff has been working on it since we chatted back when we did this back in February and March. So thank you.
Yeah.
And I agree, I'm optimistic.
Well, when you read it, of course,
And again,
it's
we
written
you've been
from
great
somebody
working
with
your staff,
our
with us
eyesight.
as
So,
liaisons,
yeah.
and then working with the folks, the interveners themselves.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, we try to
Fantastic.
keep our townspeople happy. One thing that some people maybe don't understand is I've had a few people that have said, geez, how come on this one the town jumped on it, but none of the other ones? And the simple reason is this one actually is built very close to neighbors, to people. So it affects people's lives compared to the other three, I believe, are not really affecting as many people as close as these people are going to hear it. They're going to breathe it. They're going to see it. And so that's why I think the council exercises judgment to jump in on this case.
I agree, and we learned our lesson from the North Road, where we unfortunately, the timing didn't work out for the council at that point. So I think the council did a good job, and again, thank you for you and your staff.
Well, thank you. Appreciate all the kind comments.
All set, Tom? All set. Okay, thank you. Moving on to reports of special committees of the council. Councilman Ludwig?
I gotta be brief, I know it's been asked, so I just want to publicly admit, Steve, thank you for setting up the joint insurance committee. We met today, so the request was made and we met, and that's all I have to report.
Mr. Mayor, as part of that, thank you, Mr. Ludwig. That was important, but I also would like to report, because we had said that we were going to start meetings with the new superintendent. I've reached out. We are now going to be having monthly meetings, Steve, myself, Andy Longy, and the superintendent, with whatever staff we need to talk about common goals, such as our IT and computers and other things that we do together. So I just wanted you to know that we're starting that dialogue right away, so we'll all be on the same page, because we're already looking to next year's budget.
Beautiful. Thank you, Chris. Bob?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just very briefly, with the Leisure Committee, I want to thank Jason and the Recreation staff for their quick resolution to the issue. It's going to actually help the rec department, especially with that volleyball program, that everything is going to work out with that. There's a revised residency policy that's going to reflect the actual operations in the department. So that's all I'm going to say about it. We have a resolution for it, and I ask for everybody's support. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. All set. Moving on to unfinished business. A resolution approving the revised recreation residency policy. The recommendation is that the town council approve the following resolution. Be it resolved that in accordance with Chapter 3, Section 5 of the town charter, the Enfield Town Council does hereby adopt the updated recreation residency policy as attached. Date prepared 9/25/2024, prepared by Jason Neely, Director of Public Library.
So moved.
And second.
Motion's made and seconded. Questions? Councilman Russo.
Mr. Mayor, so as Councilman Crissati alluded to, we did have our Leisure Services Committee meeting. We met on September 19th. As many remember, last council meeting, Jason Neely was here with proposed changes to the recreation residency policy, as well as Rachel from adult volleyball. She had some concerns about it and how it would affect the volleyball program if the changes were to take effect. So referred it back to committee, made sense. We met, recommendations are included in the packets, and specifically to the adult volleyball, if we remove the The bottom portion of the policy, there was general agreement that will alleviate the concerns that was brought forward by Rachel. The adult volleyballers will now follow an open gym type format. Individual fees will be collected as opposed to team fees. Non-residents will pay more. They will make their own teams, do their own scheduling and standings. The participants will officiate the matches. The open gym format should work well for them, and also not just volleyball, but other adult programs that we have running. So I can go through all the changes if you'd like, but my guess is that you probably already reviewed them, looked at them. If there's any questions, we'll try to answer them. But I was at the meeting. Councilman Crissati was there, and our chair, Councilwoman Ungary, were also in attendance. And Mr. Nunes as well, who's in the back audience. So I believe there's general agreement to kind of move forward, and I would ask for a yes vote for the revised recreation policy.
Well, I definitely support the subcommittees and what they do, so their recommendation, I also agree. Thanks, Gina. Okay, so any other comments or questions? Okay, roll call.
Councilor Nasuda.
4.
Mayor Nelson.
4.
Deputy Mayor Pisner. 4. Councilor Russo.
4.
Councilor Santinella.
4.
Councilor Ungary.
4.
Councilor Sakala.
4.
Councilor Crissati.
4.
Councilor Hendrickson.
4.
Councilor Ludwig.
4.
And Councilor Mangini.
4.
11 members in favor, none against.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to new business, 14A, the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions about the consent agenda? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, that's good. So next, we are moving on to the Historic District Commission. The term of office for Colleen Ann Reedy, Green Party, expired on 8/31/2024. Recommendation is Linda Loriano. Did I get that right, Paul? Okay. She will be moved up from an alternate member to the full-time seat. Any questions? So on this one, I'm just going to say, I personally didn't like the games that were played several years ago. You can look at the roster of this and many other committees throughout this town. And unfortunately, over the last 2 years, under the previous majority, they removed every Republican they could remove and replaced us with independents, Democrats, or other parties. It's a fact, John. You can shake your head no. Look at the roster on the Historic Committee, because we have a valid member who got tied up in this mess. But there is not one full-time Republican on this committee. And we do support Colleen, okay? And that's why we will support her in the alternate seat. So when one of your seats comes available, she is welcome to take it. All right? So that's all I have to say. We didn't do this. We're just trying to put some Republicans back on the boards where they belong. Remember, John, you removed me. That's why I'm sitting here now as mayor. You should have left me on planning and zoning where I wanted to be.
Well.
All right. So any other questions? Roll call, please.
No, he doesn't.
Roll call, please. He just shook his head and said no.
Going to roll call. I mean, so I just, you can make that up as much as you want and continue to spin things the way you want. That's just not true. And as far as this particular individual goes, as far as Colleen goes, she's been on there long before we even had the majority. She's been on that commission for forever, and she's been doing the work. And so I don't understand why you're taking this out on her in particular. We work really hard to get people to commit to be part of these commissions. Here's someone who's done that. If there's grievances on some of the other commissions, fair enough. Fair enough. If you want to talk about those, we didn't move. I don't ever remember ever appointing anybody to the Historic District Commission that wasn't already there. So I just think that this is really unfair to her. I'm grateful that at least you're letting her stay on as an alternate, but I just need to voice my concern. This is a person who has done the work, and she should be allowed to stay in her full-time position, but we recognize we don't have the votes here and accept that. So, thanks.
But you didn't answer the question.
By the way, if you would like to go, I keep promising you that if you want to go to planning and zoning, we can do that right now.
The Historic Commission, is there a full-time Republican, one full-time Republican on the Historic Commission, yes or no?
There is not.
Okay, thank you. Are we ready to vote? Roll call, please.
Councilor Nasuda.
4.
Mayor Nelson.
4.
Deputy Mayor Pisner. 4. Councilor Russo.
4.
Councilor Santinella.
4.
Councilor Ongire.
4.
Councilor Sakala.
Against.
Councilor Crisati.
4.
Councilor Hendrickson.
4.
Councilor Ledwick.
4.
And Councilor Mangini.
Against.
9 members in favor, 2 against.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, Historic District Commission. A vacancy exists for an alternate member. Recommendation is Colleen Ann Reedy, the Green Party, until 8/31/2026.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Roll call, please.
Councilor Nasuda.
4.
Mayor Nelson.
4.
Deputy Mayor Pisner. 4. Councilor Russo.
4.
Councilor Santinella.
4.
Councilor Ongire. 4. Councilor Sakala.
4.
Councilor Crisati.
4.
Councilor Hendrickson.
4.
Councilor Ledwick.
4.
Councilor Mangini.
4.
11 in favor, none against.
Okay, the next one on the agenda is resolution to transfer of funds to the Drainage Erosion Control CIP account of $50,000. There is no budget impact. The recommendation that Town Council approve the following resolution. I hereby certify that the above stated funds are available as October 1st, 2024 by John A. Wilcox, Director of Finance. Be it resolved that in accordance with Chapter 6, Section 8F of the Town Charter, the following transfers hereby made from capital non-reoccurring Fermi High School pool rehab equipment, facility, feasibility, demographics, and other professional services, $12,000 and $38,000 to capital non-reoccurring drainage erosion control construction services of $50,000. Date prepared 10/3/2024, prepared by Donald T. Nunes, Director of Public Works.
So
Welcome,
moved.
Donald. Motion's made and seconded.
Donald, thank you. Would you like to give a quick synopsis and then answer questions? Just brief, because they are anxious to go watch the rest of the game. Go ahead.
Mayor, Councilors, good evening. Donald Nunes, Director of Public Works. So on Roosevelt Avenue, which is in the Booth Road section, north of Booth Road, we had another sinkhole, but this was a storm drainage line this time. The resident, Mr. Mady, I just want to give him a shout out because he was nothing but understanding, incredibly patient during our 2-week repair. We had about 60 feet of storm drain just get washed away in his backyard. He has a 2 or 3 tier backyard, so the geography was very difficult to get to. It took us about 2 weeks to complete it, and it was about the line was about 12 feet deep, so there was massive disruption to his backyard, fencing and the like. I just want to give him a shout out. He was just he was wonderful to deal with in this situation. So it's repaired, it's fully functional, and it's been restored. And we currently have $2,300 in the drainage and erosion account. So this is where I'm asking to go fund that repair.
Thank you, Donald.
Go ahead, John.
Just a question. So this money is coming from the pool rehab, the Fermi pool? Is that right?
John, yeah, I would defer to.
It was a caucus question, and I just wanted to pose.
Fermi High School pool rehab equipment, facility, feasibility, demographic.
Yeah,
I don't
I got
know
it.
if that is part of the pool, because it's kind of vague. But it
Okay.
does.
John Wilcox, Finance Director.
All right, there should have been 2 accounts. I have to look at the actual on there, right? So at the Fermi pool, we had set aside some money for diving blocks a couple of years ago, and Donald can talk to exactly what happened with those, but instead of actually replacing the whole diving block, they got the surfaces redone on them. And looking at the sample that I saw from his deputy, they just did a beautiful job on them. So there was leftover money. We're not going to have any use for that money right now. So we wanted to redirect that money for use on the erosion control. The other one was for money that was set aside for a study about 3-4 years ago, and it has not been. It's left basically. We didn't need all that money, so.
John, can I just interrupt? And here's the confusion, because I think in leadership we talked about there being money coming from the Orlando Drive culvert, which is what this says, and then the accounts that you referenced are 2 others. That's why
I'm sorry.
That's why we were confused.
My apologies on that. When I looked at the actual accounts, I need to do a little bit more research on.
Okay.
So the money for Orlando Drive is partially funded, almost 50% funded by the state, and I wanted to make sure there was really that much money, because if it costs less, we're getting less money back from the state, and we can't have that money.
That was the basis of the question.
My
'cause this
apologies
says
on that.
It says the Orlando Drive thing, and that's what we talked about, and that's not the account. So, okay, that's fine. I'm fine with that.
No, the question has been answered. It was just confusing reading the information that was presented to us on Friday. So thank you for the clarification.
Thank you, Bob. Mike?
Mayor, thank you, and thank you for recognizing the resident too, by the way. I mean, nice touch. I appreciate that, and again, it's nice folks work together, right? We're all neighbors, so thank you, Donald. And John, just to be clear, I thought the Orlando Drive project was already closed out. I know you had come back where we got some money for reimbursement. Is this the same account, or is it? I know there was. Just want to make sure. I thought we had already closed that all out.
We have not closed the whole thing out. We did take some money from it, which is why I was, when I looked at it, I was like, I'm not sure that it's there, so.
Yeah, thank you.
You good, John? Yeah. All right. Anybody else? Okay. Roll call, please.
Counselor Nasuda.
4.
Mayor Nelson.
4.
Deputy Mayor Pisner. 4. Counselor Russo.
4.
Counselor Santinella.
4.
Counselor Ungary. 4. Counselor Sakala. 4. Counselor Crisati.
4.
Counselor Hendrickson.
4.
Counselor Ledwick.
4.
And Counselor Mangini.
4.
11 in favor, none against.
Okay, next is a resolution for transfer of funds for the 4-pack Moody Road, Pheasant Hill, Taylor Road, and Windsor Court pump stations. $395,784.64. There will be no budget impact on this, and the recommendation is the council approve the following resolution. Be it resolved that in accordance with Chapter 6, Section 8F of the Town Charter, the following transfer is hereby made from COVID-19 Fund, Sparkle Street Pump Station Construction Services, $391,300. Generator Transfer Switch and Machinery and Equipment, $3,934.64. Business Assistance Miscellaneous Expenditure, $550. To COVID Fund 19 Pump Stations 4-pack Construction Services, $395,784.64. Date prepared 10/3/2024. Prepared by Donald T. Nunes, Director of Public Works.
So moved.
Second.
So this wipes out COVID, the ARPA funds. It finishes everything. The 4-pack was something that I believe Bob or Mike, under your leadership, this was started and the engineering's been done. I believe it's out to bid already? No.
No, we have all the technical specifications are completed. The project manual is completed. The plans are completed. We are ready to go out to bid. We would have it publicly available Thursday if this passes through an ARPA account. If that passes through ARPA, then we're going to go out to bid on Thursday, be available to the public, and it's going to open in November. We'll have to move a little expediently to make sure we have a PO encumbered or funds encumbered before December 31st. But we are 100% John has signed off on it, and we are literally just waiting to go.
And the reason this is here is because it was short several $100,000.
Correct. The updated engineer's estimate, which we received less than a month ago, had it as this price, and we were short.
Right. So this is to finish off the project that was originally started, and we can hit the ground running with it. So go ahead, Mike.
No, again, thank you. I mean, this goes back, again, Chris, through the mayor to you. Again, appreciate the way, again, the debate we had last meeting on, again, I'm gonna use my best Jack Sheridan, where the pockets need to align. And this is exactly the pocket align. So I thank you for listening. I appreciate it. And Donald, thank you for doing this. Because you're right, this is a project that we chatted about many years ago. And we are, I mean, it's interesting. Things are getting done sort of, I hate to use this terminology, bits and pieces at a time, but this is how you budget. And I appreciate the fact that you guys are doing this. This is important. This is huge. I mean, it really is. This is great stuff. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Anyone else? Roll call, please.
Counselor Nasuda.
4.
Mayor Nelson.
4.
Deputy Mayor Pisner. 4. Counselor Russo.
4.
Counselor Santinella.
4.
Counselor Ungary. 4. Counselor Sakala. 4. Counselor Crisati.
4.
Counselor Hendrickson.
4.
Counselor Ludwig.
4.
And Counselor Mangini.
4.
11 in favor, none against.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Mayor, councilors, thank you.
Thank you, Donald. And then E, I believe we agreed we're going to leave, and we're not going to pull it off the table. And then same with F, we agreed we're going to leave and not pull it off the agenda, the table. Next would be G is a resolution appointing members to the Enfield Charter Commission. So, resolution appointing members to the Enfield Charter Revision Commission, whereas the Enfield Town Council initiated the charter revision process at the September 16th, 2024 meeting, and whereas the Enfield Town Council now must appoint members to serve on the Charter Revision Commission. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town Council of the Town of Enfield does hereby establish a Charter Revision Commission composed of 11 members, and be it further resolved, the Enfield Town Council does hereby appoint the following individuals to the Charter Revision Commission. And it goes through a list of people that were all the people that applied, so that list is going to change. And be it further resolved that the Enfield Town Council shall designate 2 members of the Town Council to serve as primary non-voting liaisons to the Charter Revision Commission. Date prepared 10/7/2024, prepared by the Town Manager's Office.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Okay, the motion's made and seconded. Deputy Mayor Pisner.
I'd like to make an amendment to this motion, please. So again, it'll read date October 7th, 2024, title Resolution Appointing Members to the Enfield Charter Revision Commission. Whereas the Enfield Town Council initiated the charter revision process at the September 16th, 2024 meeting, and whereas the Enfield Town Council must now appoint members to serve on the Charter Revision Commission. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town Council of the Town of Enfield does hereby establish a Charter Revision Commission composed of 11 members, including 3 council members, Mayor Ken Nelson Jr., former Mayor Michael Ludwig, and former Mayor Robert Crisati, plus 8 residents appointed by the Town Council: Nikki Price, Phil Dumont, Anne-Marie Nasuda, Thomas Cremona, Seth Kloss, Zachary Zanoni, Louis Fiore, Laura Anderson. Date prepared 10/7/2024 by the Town Manager's Office.
So moved.
Motion's made and seconded. Now, this is on the amendment to the policy. So, Marie, can you go through and do the party affiliations for them
Yes.
to make sure we're not more than, go ahead.
So we would have Mayor Ken Nelson, which would be the Republican, former Mayor Michael Ludwig, Republican, former Mayor Robert Corsati, Democrat, Nikki Price, unaffiliated, Philip Dumont, unaffiliated, Anne-Marie Nasuda, Republican, Thomas Cremona, Democrat, Seth Klaus, Republican, Zachary Zanoni, Democrat, Louis Fiore, Democrat, Laura Anderson, Democrat.
Okay, so that puts 4 Republicans, 5 Democrats, and 2 unaffiliateds on there. So we reviewed all the applicants. I know me and John spent almost all day on the phone back and forth, going over the list, trying to come up with the people who could actually serve on this committee, because there were a lot of restrictions. You know, you can't be an elected official on a board or a commission or anything like that. And I do want to point out for the people who are watching, Constable Zach Zanoni did resign as a constable today, which makes him eligible to serve on this committee. So I want to thank everybody who applied, and, you know, let's get to work. As a group, we're going to have difference of opinions, but let's move it forward. I think it's a great makeup of people. Go ahead, John.
Okay. Yes, I think we spent 5 hours back and forth this morning trying to get clarification on this and trying to figure out how we could get people onto this commission. We had so many applications. However, I just want to point out, and I mentioned this to you on the phone, and I know that there isn't support for this, but I do feel like it's important to mention. We have never appointed voting members of the council to be on the Charter Revision Commission. And in so doing, it has eliminated and made it difficult for us to get people who are not already on other boards and commissions to serve, because the 3 people that we're appointing are taking seats that we could potentially have filled with other people who applied, who are very strong candidates, but who are already serving in a different capacity without having to ask them to resign. So, you know, that I think it's, knowing now that we've never done that before, it's unfortunate that we did that. But we did work very hard to kind of come to consensus to this. And so I'm not proposing any other amendments. I just thought it was important contextually for people who have applied, who are not able to be on, to understand that that was a really significant puzzle piece that we were working through. And that's why we ended up where we ended up. Thanks.
Any other questions on the amendment? Seeing none. All in favor of the amendment? Yes. Opposed? Abstentions? Gina and Cindy, your hands didn't go up for anything. Well, you got to vote.
Fine, 4.
Gina?
Yeah, my vote doesn't matter. But I'm for it.
I hope the voters think different come November. Their vote does matter.
Could I make a comment? Is it okay? All right, I wasn't going to make a comment, but I will. Along with what John was saying, there are a good number of people on this commission that have been selected. There are also a good number of people that we've been handed applications tonight that, you know, had chosen to be on the commission. And of course, it's hard to make a decision on who's going to be on it, who's not going to be on it. I would only ask that because there's so many, 11 bodies, that's like a council, that the people serving on this commission, Republican, Democrat, and otherwise, can and will be respectful and listen to the others with their opinions, and that bring forward to this council, because this council ultimately has the vote.
Absolutely.
And I would ask that all of the members of this commission show that, kind of, respect to their colleagues. I am not happy, like, John pointed out, that you've got council that are members that are voting because you're going to get to vote twice. That's, here and nor there. But that's my sincerest thought, that the people serving on this very, very important commission show the proper respect and appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe John and myself reached out to many, if not all, of these people, asking them what their preference was. They all had an opportunity, like Zach Zanoni did, to resign and be considered. Well, obviously, we wouldn't ask them to resign first. That's why John made a commitment. We made the commitment that whatever you guys picked, we would go with. We're not playing games. So these people, Rich Stroney, we all wanted him. I mean, you all wanted him. There isn't a question. The man. But he feels he's better suited for Enfield where he's at. And so John did exactly what we did, and I want to thank you, John, for doing that this morning. I understand you don't want 3 council members on there, but in the hallway, Cindy, you told me you served on this committee yourself.
Either as liaison 10 years ago.
Correct.
Or a member.
We don't know that, John. So,
can't remember if I was liaison.
okay. So to say that no council members have ever been voting members, we're speculating. We don't have the truth. But we have, I'm going to say, at least 2 of the most knowledgeable people running government in Enfield sitting here, and obviously Scott Copeland would be the last, not me. Yep. But so take advantage of their knowledge and the years of experience that we're going to add to this committee to help stick to the points and recognize the issues that we may have within our own charter. Bob, we've had discussions about it. Mike, we've had, and we don't agree on a lot of things, and we agree on a ton of things. So I agree with what you said, Cindy, but I think the 3 council members is definitely a way to hit the ground running, knowing where the issues are. You've been here, 57 years now, almost 60 years?
You've been here 120 years before, so you look good.
So, but anyways, are there any more questions? Roll call, please.
Counselor Nasuda.
4.
Mayor Nelson.
4.
Deputy Mayor Pisner. 4. Counselor Russo.
4.
Counselor Santinella.
4.
Counselor Ungary.
4.
Counselor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crisati.
4.
Counselor Hendrickson.
4.
Counselor Ludwig.
4.
And Counselor Mangini.
4.
11 members in favor, none against.
Thank you very much. Next is a resolution to authorize non-union, wage increases for full and part-time eligible employees. There is no budget impact. The total cost of the above reference raises is approximately $180,861, and the town council allocated up to 2.5% for non-union raises in the current budget. Recommendation, the council approve the following resolution. Be it resolved that the Enfield Town Council does hereby approve, in accordance with the wishes of the town council and in adherence to the policy and procedures established by the town manager, that Section 1, the aggregate sum of $144,162.70 in COLA wage increases is authorized for all qualified non-union full-time employees of the town of Enfield. Section 2, the aggregate sum of $36,699.96 in COLA wage increases is authorized for all qualified, non-union, regular, part-time employees of the town of Enfield. And Section 3, the application of the increases referenced above shall be applied retroactively to the date of July 1st, 2024. Date prepared 10/7/2024, prepared by the town manager's office.
So moved.
Motion's made and seconded. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Counselor Nasuda.
4.
Mayor Nelson.
4.
Deputy Mayor Pisner.
4.
Counselor Russo.
4.
Counselor Santinella.
4.
Counselor Ungary.
4.
Counselor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crisati.
4.
Counselor Hendrickson.
4.
Counselor Ludwig.
4.
And Counselor Mangini.
4.
11 in favor, none against.
Okay, thank you. Next is a resolution regarding the electric rates. Be it resolved, the mayor is authorized to send a letter to the governor and legislators regarding electric rates. Date prepared 10/3/2024, prepared by the town manager's office. We all received copies of this from Deputy Mayor Pisner. Last meeting, people have added their input and their comments. She's edited the letter several times to try to accommodate everybody. Obviously, everybody is not going to accept the letter, so I received an email from Pura, and the Pura has just agreed to a 29% natural gas price increase effective right after the election. How convenient. So you think your electric rates went up? Come November, your natural gas rates are going up also. So this is about the most we can do as a community to help our residents, but let them know we don't accept it. It's got to stop. You know, our federal senators and legislators, really, they got to help us get this pipeline down through New York or through Massachusetts, because the natural gas is there. It's just not in Connecticut. And this is one of the biggest conversations I had with the governor. Connecticut is kind of handcuffed right now, not because of Connecticut, but because of several surrounding states. And I think this needs to go beyond Connecticut legislature, because they've done everything they can do. But our federal legislators, really, they got to lay the law down and, you know, help the governor, help the state of Connecticut, help the residents of the town of Enfield, because that's where it starts. We could control a lot of these costs. Electricity, the number one thing is natural gas that runs it. So if we got cheaper natural gas, we could avoid some of these increases. Residents will avoid the future increase. So I'm asking for the support. I want to thank the deputy mayor for the work she's put into this. And, you know, hopefully it falls on somebody's desk that will actually pick it up and read it. Any questions? Gina?
Just briefly, I appreciate Marie asking for feedback, and I know that I sent some. I don't really see my feedback in the letter, but I appreciate you asking for it.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
I need it moved and seconded first, sorry.
Oh, I thought we did. So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Now, are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Counselor Nasuda.
4.
Mayor Nelson.
4.
Deputy Mayor Pisner.
4.
Counselor Russo.
4.
Counselor Santinella.
4.
Counselor Ungary.
4.
Counselor Sakala.
Against?
Counselor Crisati.
4.
Counselor Hendrickson.
4.
Counselor Ludwig.
4.
And Counselor Mangini.
4.
That's 10 in favor, 1 against.
All right, thank you, because, I mean, us being almost united on this, both parties endorsing it, maybe get a little bit farther, but. The next is a resolution requesting an increase in Register of Voters budget. Budget impact, the Register of Voters budget will increase from $68,000 to $88,000. It is the recommendation that the Enfield Town Council approve the following resolution. Be it resolved, the Enfield Town Council approves the Register of Voters annual stipend of $30,000 and the Deputy Register of Voters annual stipend of $14,000, resulting in a budget increase from $68,000 to $88,000. Be it further resolved that in accordance with Chapter 6, Section 8F of the Town Charter, the following transfer is hereby made from General Fund Miscellaneous State Revenue, $21,136, to General Fund Register of Voters Stipend, $20,000, Register of Voters Social Security, $925, and Register of Voters Medicare, $211. Date prepared 10/3/2024, prepared by Tom Kensler and Christina Tetrault, Register of Voters.
So moved.
Motion's made and seconded. Questions? Councilman Santinella.
Yeah, so our registrars of voters have been asked to do an awful lot, and I know we have received a small amount of money from the state to subsidize the additional activity, but I think that it's really important that we try to, in a year like this particularly, to support them. They've had a presidential primary with early voting, a state primary with early voting, and now they're going to have the actual election with 14 days of early voting, and the amount of time and energy and effort that they put in and the staff puts in. They are barely making minimum wage, and I think that this at least gives them a fair compensation for the work that they are being required to do. And they do a great job, and I think we should thank them, and I think this is an important way to just show our appreciation for the work that they are required to do. Thanks.
Thank you, John. Councilman Hendrickson.
So I just have a question. So this money is not coming out, it's coming out of a grant or something, or state revenue? This money to change the budget?
The registers did receive a grant of 2 grants, $10,000 each, which is $20,000, but in my eyes, we don't want to look at that, because if we start budgeting with grants on fixed costs, we're doing what the board did to get them in trouble. So whether they get the grant again next year or not, we're still obligated to pay the increase to the Register of Voters. So I don't even want to discuss the grant. That was great. They got it, and it will definitely offset it, but next year it won't.
Right,
unless they
it's
get another.
offsetting it for this year. Next year, it's going to be on the budget if we vote for this. And this is strictly because of early voting? Is that why this is?
Well, I think it extends, I mean, you got absentee ballots. A lot of these things, I believe, have come in since Tom has sat here.
Correct, but they're mandates by the state that's put it on us, and they haven't funded it. So that's my biggest.
Well, they funded
it.
10,000.
Well, and they're trying to fund this year, but next year it's going on our budget.
All right.
May I?
You can answer questions, yes. Bob, go ahead, ask your
All right,
question.
the big thing is this increase because of early voting? Is that why you're asking for this?
Yes, the increase is because we've been asked or tasked to work 49% more for the entire year in hours than we worked previously. We are a stipend position. We have no benefits. We have no union. We have no COLA. We do not enjoy cost of living increases or anything like that for years. So we're trying to maintain our deputies mainly, and us. Our deputies are currently under the workload that we currently have, are going to end up working for $10.38 an hour if you extrapolate it out.
No, I'm in favor of this. I'm just putting it back on the state is making us do this, basically.
The state has
not
come through with
funding
2
it,
grants.
So the taxpayers, again, in Enfield are going to pay for
Yeah,
this.
and they have told us that they're going to continue to try to get grants. This one we just got was ARPA money, which I'm pretty sure will never happen again. And the one we got the first time was from the state and their own grant program. So we have $20,000, but even if we didn't have any grants, we would still be here asking you the same questions.
I agree with that, but it'd be an ask for the next budget term instead of now.
Well, it'd be
Most
asked
likely.
now
Most
to
likely.
continue and forever.
It wouldn't be next, but it would be now.
No, the ask would be now for the
Yeah.
increase?
Because they asked at budget time.
I know, but this brings up the case of everybody that had to do cuts. Are they all going to come before us, ask for that money back?
Yes.
That is my issue on this.
That was your valid point last
Okay.
night, and you're not
That's-
wrong.
We now
just-
have more information now that we have the grant that we did not have during.
That's my question about the grant. So is this 20,000 for this year alone, or was 10,000 for last year?
No,
10,000?
it's all this calendar year.
It is this
So we got one for the April, and we're getting one in a week or two, as soon as you guys did the signature tonight.
Okay.
Well, that'll be here in a matter of weeks. So that'll cover this, not fiscal year, calendar year. 3 elections.
And Rovac has told us that depending on what early voting happens next year, they also plan on giving us grants next year. They just don't have dollar amounts at this point.
Councilman Ludwig.
Right, so the 10, you got a raise, you didn't get the raise you wanted in the budget, you got a small raise, correct, if I recall?
We got no raise in the budget.
No raise, it was no raise? So, again, I'm against early voting. I'm sorry, the state is not funding what it's mandating to the towns to do. I'm against early voting. I understand you're working harder. So I want to be clear, I guess that's where I'm confused. Is this 20 grand being covered by the grants, or is this separate from the grant? And if it's separate from the grants, then what's the 20 grand we just?
20,000 is stipulated by the Secretary of State to pay for expenses involved with early voting, including salaries, hourly wages
So
for
can we get a
workers.
breakdown where the 20 grand, so it says here in the resolution, it's coming out of miscellaneous state money. So is this coming out of the 20 grand we approved earlier? Or is this, I want to
20
make sure.
The 20, no. The
So
20
we approved the early grants,
You approved one grant this evening.
Right.
That's the second grant for
Correct.
$10,647.
I got that. So where's this coming from?
This is coming from that and the one that was previously awarded to us that you've already received. It's been sitting in.
This goes strictly to salary and nothing else? No, you said it could be expenses. What else?
It goes to whatever, well, we have expenses.
But
I
we
got
have
it.
those covered with our budget,
Well, our current budget covers all of our expenses because we knew this was coming.
including the workers that we have staffing the 14 days of early
Perfect
voting.
example. So we just finished today the early voting thing, schedule, and we have $14,889 of payroll for early voting. And we have $900 left in the account after all of the hourly for all 3 elections are done in this election. That's how tight we budgeted it, so that we could cover it. That is not an ask. It's already been approved, and it's all set. And we had some equipment we had to buy for scanners, about $1,000. We had budgeted for that. And another thing I should add is we give back to the council, although you don't see it, every year for the last 6 years since I've been here. We did not replace the admin position that left, and we took on that responsibility and eliminated that $27,000 of expense by not replacing the position and doing it ourselves. So when you say deputies out there, deputies can work in some towns only for elections. Our deputies work every single week. There's one of them sitting back there right now. Say hi to Beth. And they do as much work as we do with a few exceptions. And it's just not fair, not with the new things we have to do. And I know, Mike, you said that the state is making us do, and you don't agree with it, and I appreciate that comment.
Have you reached out to the state when you had this
As a
conversation?
ROVAC body, we've done that at every meeting, and it's not going to change, and it never has for all the years. But I will say this, we can sit here and we can give COLA increases, and we can do that because it's the right thing to do. But because we're not in that group of people, we stay at the same rate forever until we come and do something like this. And it's quite embarrassing to do it. Shouldn't have to do it.
I don't think.
Registrar voters make $25,000 a year.
But you also run for that office, so you know what you're getting yourself into. I mean, so I'm just saying, yeah.
I get you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Counselor Nasuda.
4.
Mayor Nelson.
4.
Deputy Mayor Pisner. 4. Counselor Russo.
4.
Counselor Santinella.
4.
Counselor Ungary.
4.
Counselor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crisati.
4.
Counselor Hendrickson.
4.
Counselor Ludwig.
Against.
And Councilor Mangini.
4.
10 members in favor, 1 against.
Thank you. We appreciate the work. We may not agree with your additional work, but I don't want to penalize you for something somebody else did. I
Thank you,
agree with
everybody.
Councilman
Thank you
Ludwig
very
on
much.
this.
Chris, could you stay for a moment?
Yes.
She has to make an announcement during public communication. She didn't know, but she's going to.
I was going to do this during public communications. I just want to announce that there's going to be a winter vendor market at the Enfield Square Mall. It begins on October 27th. It runs through December 22nd from 11:30 in the morning until 3:30 in the afternoon. Vendors, if they're interested, can contact the town manager's office or look on the website where the farmer's market application was to get an application for the winter market.
And I thank
Just
Chris.
like the one you
Yeah.
used to have.
This is going to be better.
Bigger and better.
This is going to
Good
be
answer.
limited vendors, like there will not be duplicate products in any of the vendors. It's going to be great.
And to join
Check it
Jim
out.
and thank you for doing the summer, we thank you for taking this obligation on right up to Christmas. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay, next, items for discussion. Are there any this evening? Seeing none. Any other items, business proper to come before said meeting? Seeing none. Public communication, is there anyone out there who would like to come speak to the council? George?
George Young, 8 Holly Lane. I took a lot of time reading everybody that was going to be an applicant and approved by the board, and I thought the resolution was that. It was disappointing to come here tonight and find out that 3 council members will now be voting members, and I want to express my displeasure with that decision. I think the public needs a vote. Not only that, you are ending the revision committee's decision by being able to vote a second time when this all goes to the council, which I really think is unfair. So, in spite of my comments to the town attorney to check out certain things, which I decided was 5 Republicans, 3 Democrats, and 3 unaffiliates, there's no reason that I should have been that far off. But when you revised it with an amendment tonight, you changed everything, and I'm disappointed. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Jen?
Jennifer Briette, 83 Park Ave. Just a couple of things. The job fair, I'm so glad as it was successful, but I hope for the next one, somehow you have evening hours for the students who are night students. My daughter is an Nantucket student at night. She works 3 jobs during the day, so she was unable to attend that. Might have been good for her finding just 1 job. The second thing I have is, wow, you guys cut the budgets for the nonprofits by 15%, 25%, and now you want to go to them looking for more help. That just is unfathomable to me. And the third thing is the Charter Review Commission. You guys could have had 15 members on there, and you chose only to have 11 and appoint yourselves as voting members. The fact that that resolution was published with names of people who were not voted on, we deserve an apology. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Anyone else? Seeing none, Councilman Communications? Anyone? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Everyone have a great night.